Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto was neglected by family Sailor Moon. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by KILROY7087, link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Story begin. Naruto had it. He was through with the leaf, through with his so-called friends, his teacher, and even more, he was through with his stupid disguise. That's right, the Uzumaki Naruto everybody knew and loved to hate was not what he appeared. From an early age he was beaten, stabbed and left for dead so many times. One night when he was 8 he was so severely beaten that he was sent to his mindscape. Flashback, a go-go baby. Naruto, or should I say Naruto, as he hated that name. People would laugh at how he was named after a ramen topping, so here he named himself Naruto, meaning tempest or storm. He also liked how Naruto also meant maelstrom, but that name just reminded him of all the abuse and hate shown to him. Anyway, Naruto awoke in what appeared to be a sewer. He wandered forward until he came across a huge cage. From within he could hear crying. He went towards the cage, and inside he could see a girl who looked to be 8 years old with crimson red hair. She was in a purple kimono with fox prints all over. She had 9 fox tails waving around her and 2 cute little fox ears on top of her head. "Hey miss, why are you crying?" Naruto said, looking at the girl, his heart going out to her. "Cause this is my fault," she said. "It's my fault they all beat you. Why they all hate you, despise your very existence." "But how is it your fault? You do appear to be dangerous, and from what I can tell it would be very hard for you to get out of this cage," Naruto said. "The reason it's my fault is because I attacked your village 8 years ago," she said. "Wait, you mean to tell me you are the Kikbi no Kitsune? But I thought the 4th Hokage killed you," Naruto said, astonished that he was in the presence of the fox demon, known to topple mountains and cause tsunamis with a wave of just one of its tails. "Yes, I'm the Kikbi," surprised to know that the great Kikbi no Kitsune is female, she said with a little anger with the last statement. "No, I can't believe she's this cute," he said. Kikbi blushed at this, surprised at his answer. "Then name is Naruto Uzumaki. May I be so rude as to ask your name?" he asked. "It's Asuna, and thank you, most people don't ask me my name, they just call me by my title and demand of me power or to obey them," Asuna said. "Well Asuna, may I ask why you attacked the village? Cause based on my first impression, you don't seem to be the type of person to just up and attack a village unless provoked. And why do you look to be about my age?" Naruto asked her. "Well, the reason I look to be the same age as you is because of the seal, I think. I believe that because the Shinigami sealed me in you." Here he said my age, so I'm now the same age as you, but really I'm only 300 years old. I have 9 tails because of the power given to by the Rakuto Sennin. I really only have 3 tails, and I'm a Zenko, a good fox, and Ari-sama to guard the land of fire. Now the reason why I attacked the village, well, as you deduced, I was not under my own will. You see, I was sleeping peacefully in my den in the mountains of High no Kuni land of fire when suddenly I was attacked by 3 ninjas. One looked like a Venus flytrap, one looked like a walking fish, and the third looked like something out of a horror film. However, the one who put me under his control was an Uchiha. I believe he said his name was Madara. Anyway, he put me under his Tsukuyomi, and the last thing I remember after that was waking up here," Asuna said. "Well, how's that your fault? You weren't in control. These villagers ain't nothing but idiots," Naruto said, convicted. "Listen, I forgive you, but you have to do me one thing." "What's that, Naruto-kun?" Asuna asked, not knowing her addition of the affectionate suffix. "I want you to be my friend and I'll be yours," Naruto said with a smile. All Asuna could do was nod, as the words would only have got caught in her throat. After a while she managed to calm down and find the right words. "Thank you, Naruto-kun. To show you my thanks, how would you like it if I was to train you to be the greatest shinobi in the elemental nations?" Asuna asked him. "How would I like it? I'd love it, Asuna-chan," Naruto said, Asuna blushing at the affectionate suffix. Flashback, and no more. And with that a great friendship was made. Asuna would help Naruto with his training, giving him great teachings on the ninja essentials, such as ninjutsu, taijutsu, genjutsu and kinjutsu, as well as kenjutsu. After they found out who Naruto's parents were, when they overheard a meeting when Naruto went to see the Hokage, of course, Naruto used the ventilation ducts to get in. However, when he heard the meeting and about his parents, he was furious. Naruto Uzumaki, or should I say Naruto Namikaze, son of the Konoha no Kairoi Senkmer, Konoha's Yellow Flash, Minato Namikaze, and the Akai Chishio no Habanero, or the Red Hot Habanero Kushina Uzumaki. This led to his developing his disguise, basically the loud-mouthed knucklehead with a bright orange jumpsuit, but to be honest that was all he could get, as the shops wouldn't sell him anything else. He also had to hunt for his food, cause he would eat nothing but ramen. Don't get him wrong, ramen is great, but only on the odd occasion. Asuna also used her Yaokai to influence his body's growth, so by the time he was 15, he looked to be about 18, and he had his father's hairstyle, in remembrance of course. He also managed to find a replica of his father's outfit as a genin, but this all was hidden by a complex genjutsu that not even the Sharingan could break through, cause it was a kitsune illusion. Now anyway, getting back to the present. You see, Naruto had just been banished from his hometown of Konoha. Why, you ask? Well, you see, this spoiled little rotten insignificant speck of rat shit knows Sasuke Uchiha had left the village, so of course they call the idiot to go retrieve him cause under his disguise, Sasuke is his best friend, oh joy, he was such a great friend that he shoved a fucking Chidori straight through his chest. So he bet the shit out of him and dragged him back, but oh no, the village didn't like that. Oh heaven forbid that the gift from Kami herself be harmed, he got a head injury from the pink howler monkey known as Sakura Haruno and yelled at by the pathetic excuse of a son, student, teacher Kakashi Haddock. Who, let me remind you, was Minato's student, but oh no, Kakashi preferred the Uchiha cause he was a prodigy. And that old hag didn't even bother to stand up for him in the council when they decided to banish him. Oh, she screamed and yelled, but Tsunade didn't bother to pull a single muscle to try and stop them. She could have pounded the whole council, but no, she didn't want to cause she would lose her position as Hokage and her money, which would mean going back gambling trying to make it big. And don't get him started on that pathetic waste of matter known as Jiraiya, his godfather mind you. He was too busy peeping on women to help out his godson. Well, Naruto had it, no more. Aye, he said with his hands in a ram seal. This dispelled the illusion, and his disguise, fuck them all is what I say, they can all rot in hell, I just hope they liked my going away present. He summoned a shadow clone with the familiar cross seal, you know what to do, and dispelled the clone. Oh yeah, did you know that shadow clones gave the user back their memories? That's right, Naruto, who could summon thousands of clones, was able to learn in days what a person would learn in years. What he did there was have the clone transfer the memory to a clone he had hidden back in Konoha at the Hokage monument under a kitsune illusion. Back in Konoha, you see, the night before he was banished he did a little project. Basically he remodeled the monument to capture what he felt his parents would have done. When his clone got the memory to unleash hell, unleashed he did. What Konoha witnessed was 3 being destroyed by well-placed explosive tags, and the 4th's head redesigned to feature a scowl on his face, and right beside him was a full-body sculpture of Kushina Uzumaki, her hair divided into 9 tails. Her katana branded ready for killing. Underneath in blood-red paint was written, "You better beg for mercy from us Konoha for betraying us, and our son signed Kairoi Senkma Nakai Chishio no Habanero, with the remaining loyal, and I say that with as much venom as I can sanin." In her office, Tsunade and Jiraiya sat drinking sake, sure they were depressed about losing Naruto, but there was nothing they could do, the council was absolute. Jiraiya could have revealed his heritage, but then Iwa Rock Village would send assassins to try and kill him, not like he already had enough assassins try that from his own village. Suddenly Shizune burst through the doors looking like she had seen a ghost. "Jiraiya-sama, Tsunade-sama, look at the monument, someone has destroyed it," she said, pointing to said monument. "What?" Tsunade exclaimed. She and Jiraiya rushed to the window to see what had happened. When they saw what happened they went completely still. They knew what the message meant and what it meant for Konoha now. "Oh no, Jiraiya, he knows." "How does he know?" Tsunade said frantically. "I don't know, Haim princess, I didn't tell him, that's for sure, and I know sensei didn't tell him," Jiraiya said. Then he went even paler, even as pale as Orochimaru himself. In Namika's compound he must have found it, but then that would mean, oh shit Tsunade, we need to get him back. "Why, what could be wrong?" Jiraiya, Tsunade said. "That's right folks, Naruto found his parents' house. But instead of leaving it there for the Konoha trash to claim it theirs, he had left explosive notes with a timer seal, meaning they would go off at a certain time. He had set these when he first heard of his banishment. He took all his parents' belongings and sealed everything into marked scrolls. Konoha was rocked by an explosion and left Jiraiya and Tsunade cursing, thinking they were under attack. Suddenly an Anbu ninja appeared wearing a hawk mask. "Okage-sama, the Namika's compound has been destroyed," Hawk said. "What?" she yelled. "That's why we need to get him back, Haim, he has all the Uzumaki and Namika's clan scrolls with him, we need to get them back," the pervert said. And with that Tsunade and Jiraiya got a squad together to retrieve the Namika's heir. Back with Naruto. Naruto had found him back at the Valley of the End. He was thinking where to go from here. He could go to the Hidden Mist Village or maybe Cloud Village. However, his musings were cut short as a blinding light appeared in front of him. From out of the light a woman appeared in front of him. She was absolutely gorgeous, curves in all the right places. She had green hair and pink eyes. She was dressed in a very revealing sailor fuku. She wielded a staff that looked like it was used for something other than as a weapon. What was weird though was that she seemed familiar. It didn't help that Naruto was having these dreams of castle of some sort and people who he could not name, but he recognized them, or at least he did in the dream. "My prince, I have found you at last," she said. "I have been searching millennia for you. Oh, I am so glad to have found you." She finished embracing Naruto in a hug. In his mindscape Asuna was getting pissed off. "Whoa, lady, what the hell are you talking about? I ain't no prince, I'm just some orphan," Naruto said, pushing the woman away. "Well, maybe in this life, however in your previous life that's a different story. Here, let me show you," she said, and with that she touched her staff to his forehead. Unlocking repressed memories of another life and also unlocking his hidden powers. In the memories Naruto finds himself in a beautiful palace on the moon. Yes, that's right, this was the Moon Kingdom, it was all coming back to him, he was Naruto, the prince of the Moon Kingdom, firstborn son to Queen Serenity and older brother to Princess Serenity, but he always called her Serena cause that suited her better than the same name as their mother. He also remembered the other princess of the other planets, they were also known as the Sailor Senshi. Then he remembered what happened, they were attacked by Beryl. They girls were sent to Earth to be reborn, he was too, however Beryl had opened a portal to another dimension sucking him in before she was defeated by his mother. He also received information on who the Senshi and his sister were now, he also knew that they were in danger from Beryl's plans. Satsuna Oba-chan, Naruto said, hugging the women, crying, I'm so glad to see you again. Now my prince, all is well now, Satsuna Aka. Sailor Pluto said, now I believe your sister and the other princesses need your help. No. Of course, Satsuna Oba-chan, I would like nothing more than to get as far from here as possible, however would it be possible for you to do something for me, Naruto said, wiping his tears. And what would you have of me, Naruto-kun? Satsuna asked. Can you free my friend Asuna-chan? Please, I've been trying to get her free, however nothing would work. Naruto said, showing Satsuna the seal. Looking at the seal, Satsuna glared, she knew what type of sealing that was, however she knew exactly how to get rid of it and release the prisoner without harming the prince. Of course, Naruto, now just relax, now this won't take long, she said, twirling her staff, weaving her powers. She then touched the staff against the seal, which disappeared. Celestial door open, she said, beside her a tall golden door appeared. The door opened with a loud groaning sound, and it opened slowly. From out of the door stepped Asuna in all her nine-tailed glory. She now looked different from when they had met when Naruto was 8. She now was a head smaller than him, with him being 5'10" compared to her 5'9". Her curves beginning to show at her young age of 15. Remember, that's how old she is in demon years. Her hair was done in a single high ponytail with bangs framing her face, again picture Yoko from Gurren Lagann. She still had her kimono, which was staring to show her womanly figure, whereas before it was baggy and hid her figure. When the two friends locked eyes, they were over ecstatic to see each other, quickly embracing each other in a hug. Naruto-kun, I'm so glad to be able to finally hug you and not be trapped behind those accursed bars, Asuna said. I know, Asuna-chan, and even better still, we don't have to stay in this accursed shinobi world where we would be hunted for the rest of our lives for who we are and our power. Naruto said, giving her one of his foxy grins. That reminds, nice idea with the monument, I bet they are kicking themselves now, Asuna said with a grin of her own. Okay lovebirds, we need to get you guys through the door so we may get as far away from here as possible, Satsuna said. With that comment, the two lovebirds blushed furiously. Satsuna Oba-chan, knock it off, it isn't like that, Naruto said, however he and Asuna both muttered, yet low enough neither heard it. Calm down, Ichi nephew, someone considered one's own child, I'm only teasing, now let's get the door open, Satsuna said. She twirled her staff again and threw it in the air. This action caused another flash of bright light and a door to appear. The door was very large, about half the size of the gates to Konoha, and it was silver with crescent moons emblazoned all over it. It was through this that Naruto and Asuna would find them traveling to the Milky Way galaxy far from their galaxy. For those of you that don't know, Pluto has power of time and space, so technically she's traveling through time and space to get them to our Earth. As the three started to head through the door, they were stopped by shouts coming from behind them. Turning to look at who it could be, Naruto and Asuna were quickly angered. Before them stood Jiraiya, Kakashi, Tsunade and a few of the genins, probably brought along to guilt-trip him into coming back, however he heard what they all called him when he was being forced to leave, they all called him demon, just because of the fact that's what their parents called him, and just because he did his duty, well fuck them if they thought he would bend to their will anymore. He now had a new purpose and a previous life to return to. Wait Naruto, don't leave, the perverted hermit began. Don't you even talk to me, you sick perverted fuck, I hope my mother annihilates you for what you asked me to do that time at the hot springs when we first met, and fuck off if you think I'm going back with you, you two-timing no good rotten fuck. You betrayed not only me but my parents as well. Naruto said, pointing at the hermit, and you're pathetic if bringing these people here was going to somehow miraculously get me to go back with you to that cesspit of a village just to return to being your scapegoat and punching bag. Okay, so fuck you, he said, pointing to Jiraiya. Now wait just a minute, Naruto, we just, Kakashi tried to say. Fuck you, Naruto interrupted. Brad, you better shut up and listen for a minute. Tsunade said, trying to get him to calm down. Drop dead, you worthless old bitch, Naruto shouted. Naruto-kun, stop and come back with your friends, Ino said. No, fuck off, you worthless gank-ass bitch, you only tolerate me right now cause who my father is right now. If I was still the no-clan orphan you all liked kicking around, then you wouldn't give me the time off day, no, you'd rather give it to Sasuke-kun, so do me a favor and find the highest clef and jump please, Naruto said. And fuck all of you, you two-timing pieces of shit, he pointed to the rest of the rookies, which included Shinji. Shikamaru wasn't there as he was on a mission, plus it would have been too troublesome, Naruto thought with venom. The only thing troublesome is their worthless existence, the only good they do is battle strategy, but yet my dad was also adept at that. Tenten, Niji, and Kiba was there. Hinata wasn't allowed to go as she was attending some clan business with her father, as was Shino. All of those present had turned away from them after it was announced he was to be banished, and when it was announced that he contained the Kikbi, which they did, seeing as he no longer needed the protection of that law, fucking fat load of good, it did anyway, Naruto thought. Wait, Naruto, you need to come back to claim your heritage, Tsunade said. Oh, don't worry, Hag, I have my heritage right here, nice and safe on my person where it belongs. Naruto said. Turning around, Naruto, Asuna and Satsuna all headed into the door, however Naruto gave them all a memento to remember him by, him flipping them the bird with the biggest shit-eating grin he could muster. When he went through the door, it closed behind them. Tsunade had broken down crying, from between letting Naruto be banished and what he said to her, Tsunade couldn't take it, and what was worse was when he was banished he said how she was like the mother he never had. Jiraiya also was thrown into a state of depression, he had not only let down his student but his godson as well. Kakashi was also very somber, his last link with his beloved sensei was gone, he would admit that that was the only reason he kept Naruto around, was to remind him of his sensei, however that link was gone now, and he was truly the only one left from his old team. The genin were beside themselves, that wasn't the Naruto they knew, he wasn't loud or obnoxious. He was cold, ruthless, and very harsh. His words cut deep. Forever ingrained into their memory was the image of Naruto leaving this world while giving them the bird. With Naruto and Asuna, when they stepped through the door, the trio of travelers appeared before a ruined castle. Naruto knew where he was, this was what was left of the Moon Kingdom. Looking around, Naruto was overwhelmed as this was home now in ruins. Suddenly they were surrounded by light. When it suddenly subsided, they were surprised to see the castle in less ruin than it was just moments ago. Before them was the long-dead Queen Serenity. Naruto was confused as he didn't know what was going on. "Mother, is it really you?" he asked, however the queen merely shook her head negatively. "I'm afraid not, my son, although it is good to see you safe. I am an imprint left here for when your sister, the other princesses and you yourself should ever find yourself here. I was here to remind you of your past life, but I can see Satsuna has already done that. However, you have yet to receive your inheritance," Queen Serenity said. "What do you mean, mother?" Naruto said, looking puzzled. "Well, my son, as I and your sister have possession of the Silver Imperial Crystal, you have ownership over the Platinum Galaxy Crystal," she said, "which holds the same if not more power than your sister's crystal." Said crystal floated in front of Naruto. Suddenly it glowed and then disappeared. On Naruto's arm appeared a watch with a thick leather strap. It was red in color and held the crystal underneath the clock face. "This is your Moon Sage watch, just like the sailors' makeup pens, and you are sister's locket. This will allow you to transform into the Moonlight Warrior, Knight of Honor and Justice, Guardian of Peace and all that is good." Serenity said, "In order to transform you need to say the words Moonlight Warrior magic transformation. Just remember that, my son, and protect your sister," Serenity said, hugging her son one last time before disappearing. The castle returning to its ruined state. Naruto cried, but at least he got to see his mother one last time. "How's my sister, Satsuna Oba-chan? I'm sure you had kept watch over them," Naruto said, regaining his composure. "Well, herself and the sailor Senshi has visited here already, and Serenity has unlocked the Silver Imperium Crystal. Unfortunately, your friend and her love Prince Endymion has been captured by Queen Beryl. Also, their memories of their previous life has been unlocked, however memories of you have left to be unlocked as there was connection between you and them, however they should remember upon meeting them," Satsuna said. "Okay, take us to Earth please, Satsuna. I believe my sister to be in need of some comforting." "Of course, Ichi," Satsuna said. Opening another door, they disappeared to reappear back on Earth. With Usagi was currently in her room. She was depressed even though she and the Senshi had won a major victory over Beryl. She reclaimed the Silver Imperium Crystal and regained her memories, however her love Mamoru or Prince Endymion had been taken by Beryl. Also, it felt as though she was forgetting something or someone very close to her. Even the others were having the same problem, they just couldn't figure out who or what they were forgetting. "Luna, I going crazy. I keep dreaming about the Moon Kingdom, however there's this older boy who I just can't seem to remember, but I know he's important somehow," Serena said to her cat, Luna, her advisor and guardian. "Of course not, princess, I have the same dreams, so I believe you are not going crazy. I believe things will be made clear soon enough," the cat said in a British accent. Back with Naruto, when they arrived on Earth, the trio found themselves in the Juabin district. Unfortunately, Satsuna couldn't stay as she needed to return to minding the gates of time and space as she had been gone too long. So with a farewell and good luck she vanished. As soon as she was gone, Naruto and Asuna embraced each other in another hug, Naruto spinning around. "We're free, Asuna-chan. No more Konoha, no more traitors or council or anything. We are free to live our lives together in peace, with only ourselves to answer to," he said, laughing for joy. "Oh, Naruto-kun, it's so wonderful," Asuna said, overjoyed not to worry about people after her for her power. After they finished hugging, they checked their surroundings. They were currently in a clearing up on the hills near enough the city. That could wait till tomorrow, however. It was getting late and the pair was tired from the day's events. so getting out one of his emergency tents he had sealed in a scroll, Naruto prepared it for the night. Each getting their own futon, they both fell asleep as soon as they hit their pillows. Early the next morning, Naruto got up early and left a shadow clone, so Asuna wasn't left alone. He went to the shopping mall and using a genjutsu took clothes for Asuna and himself. The genjutsu was to make as if no one was in the shop when the staff reviewed the security cameras. He then sent a bunch of clones disguised as random people to find out about where he was and all about the rest of the world. Next he headed to the bank, which was open thankfully. He went asking if he could get some currency exchanged, however he found out he had money from a previous era, so they got it appraised by someone from a local museum. It turned out he had of 250 million yen or so. He opened a bank account to contain the money. With this he was given a checkbook, debit card and the works. Next he went to the real estate agency and bought a penthouse apartment in the city near enough to the shopping mall and Game Crown Arcade. Which he didn't know about yet. The next thing on his list was to get Asuna and himself set up in their new apartment. As he left most of his equipment with Asuna, he homed in on a Hiraishin flying thunder god kunai and flashed to its location. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Naruto knew his father's signature jutsu, and it only took him a month to learn and master it, seeing as he was an Uzumaki seal expert and the Uzumakis were BAMF's badass motherfuckers when it came to Fukinjutsu. Not only that, but he took the Rasengan and mastered it before he even made that stupid bet with Tsunade. He just faked not mastering to con her into coming home with them. Not only that, but he took it to the next level. What I mean by that is that he added elemental chakra manipulation to it, which was his father was aiming for. But that he created his Fuiten Rasen Shuriken or wind-style spiraling shuriken. In order to use this jutsu though without the millions of microscopic wind blades tearing his arm to shreds, he took his wind manipulation to the extremes. After he mastered cutting a waterfall, he went and cut across a river much like Moses parted the Red Sea. Then he used his wind chakra to cut into mountains, eventually cutting out patterns, which was how he made the sculpture of his mother on the monument. With all this he was able to control the Rasen Shuriken completely, even going so far as to be able to throw it. Anyway, when he appeared beside Asuna, he found her to be still asleep in the tent. Walking up to her, he shook her gently to get her to wake. She woke up rubbing the sleep out of her eyes in the cutest way, which made Naruto utter kawaii. However, with her hearing she was able to hear it, making her blush. "Morning, Asuna-chan," he said cheerfully. "Morning, Naruto-kun," she replied sleepily. After she woke up she exited the tent, which Naruto sealed back into the scroll. He then took out another scroll marked food, he unsealed some meat and vegetables, and went about cooking breakfast for them. After they ate breakfast, Naruto took out the scroll, he sealed the clothes he got into, and took out some for Asuna. "Dear Asuna-chan, we don't want to stick out too much now, do we?" he said. He gave her the clothes and took out some for himself. "Thank you, Naruto-kun," Asuna said upon taking the clothes. She went into the forest to change, and when she came back, Naruto had trouble picking his jaw up off the floor. She came out dressed in tight blue denim jeans, a cream sweater that fell over her shoulders and hugged her curves, and Vans slip-on shoes. "Wow, you look amazing, Asuna-chan," he said, finally picking his jaw off the ground. Asuna then blushed a crimson red. "Thank you, Naruto-kun, you don't look bad yourself," she said, taking in his appearance. Naruto had on a pair of black and blue Vans high tops. He had on a black pair of cargo jeans, a simple red t-shirt, and a hooded jumper. It was Naruto's turn to blush. "Thanks, Asuna-chan," he said, "now let's go move into our apartment that I got for us." Asuna perked up with that, she nodded and they headed towards the apartment. When they arrived at the apartment complex they were amazed at how tall the building was. It was much larger than Naruto's last apartment building. When they got to their apartment, Asuna was surprised to find that it was a penthouse suite apartment. They walked in and was surprised at the size of the place. There was a huge living room with a large couch and big flat screen TV. He bought the apartment as it was furnished, so he wouldn't have to go out and get new furniture. The kitchen was also huge with a nice marble island in the middle of it. There were already pots and pans and plates and glasses inside the cupboards and hanging up, however the fridge and freezer wasn't stocked, so they would have to go out to a supermarket and get some groceries. There was 3 bedrooms, a master bedroom with full ensuite bathroom. Then there was also 2 guest bedrooms with ensuite bathrooms as well. However, when they saw the bedrooms, Asuna was thinking over something. You see, in the 7 years since they became friends, Asuna had developed a crush on Naruto. To be honest, what girl wouldn't? He was kind and sweet and would go to the ends of the universe for you. He always put her before himself. Ironically enough, Naruto had developed a crush on Asuna as well. She was just as if not more kinder than Naruto was, and he enjoyed the time they shared together in the mindscape. Anyway, Asuna was thinking it over, and she figured now was as good a time as any to tell Naruto her feelings. "And Naruto-kun, I was wondering if we could share the master bedroom, if it would be possible," she said, stuttering a bit. "Well, it wouldn't a problem, but can I ask why you want to share a bedroom?" Arashi said, blushing up a storm. Well, why, you see, I kinda gotten used to falling asleep being able to feel your presence inside the seal, and to be honest, I don't want to be alone anymore, Naruto-kun, especially seeing as I kinda sorta like you a lot, she said, muttering the last part. Wait, what was that last part, he said, doing a double take. I said I love you, she said, raising her voice a little. Really, is that true, Asuna? Naruto said, blushing even further. Yes, I think I've loved you a while after that night when you first came to me in the mindscape. The way you always treated me as person and not a monster like the rest of the world. Asuna said I didn't want to say anything for a while, cause I was afraid you would reject me, and then our friendship would be over, and she started rambling. However, she was silenced when she felt Naruto kiss her. Melting into the kiss, she began to kiss back, and it turned into a very passionate kiss, only stopping when they needed to breathe. To be honest, Konoha Fox Princess, I think I fell for you around the same time, even harder when you were training me, which I will always be thankful for, as you were always kind and helpful. When I asked for help you gave me hints, and you were always encouraging. Naruto said. Asuna blushed at the nickname. She hugged him and gave him another kiss, and gave him one of the most wonderful smiles he had ever seen. It was one that he could see that she loved him, and all her love was put into it. Thanks, Naruto-kun, thank you for being my friend and now my lover, she said, blushing even harder at the last part. No problem, my beautiful Konoha, for you I would travel the four corners of the globe, and then some for you, he said. And with that, the newly made couple got their bedroom done up with their personal flair. Naruto his scroll placed on the bookshelf. Asuna had the closet filled with their clothes. When it was all finished, he headed into the living room and sat on the couch. Naruto sat at the end with Asuna snuggled against him. So what's next on our to-do list, Naruto-kun? Asuna asked. Well, if we're going to be living here, we need to sign up for school, as it wouldn't look good if we didn't. After that, we're going to need groceries. After that, we just relax, we'll wait for Beryl to make her move and get ready to help the senshi. Naruto said, taking on a serious expression. Now why don't we head over to the local high school and sign us up? He said. Asuna nodded. She didn't really want to go to school, as she figured it would be just as tedious as that pathetic ninja academy back in Konoha. They got up and headed out into the city. After searching around, they found the Juban High School. Walking into the building, they found the secretary and asked for the principal. When called, they were ushered in by the secretary. The principal was an average-looking fellow, brown hair, brown eyes, wife and 2 kids. Ah, hello, and what can I do for you today, mister? He drifted off looking for a name. Good day, sir, I'm Namikaze Naruto and this is my girlfriend Uzumaki. Asuna, Naruto said. We're here to ask you if we can attend school here. You see, Asuna and I have just returned from abroad. Ah, of course, Namikaze-san, let me just fill out the paperwork and I can have you two starting tomorrow. Is that suitable for you? The principal replied. Of course, that suits us fine, Naruto replied. Asuna and Naruto were handed out the basic information forms and everything was officiated, and Naruto and Asuna was ready to start school the next day. After that, the couple went to the supermarket to get their groceries. But Usagi was currently with her friend Rei, Ami, Makoto and Minako at the Game Crown arcade. Her friends were trying to cheer her up as she was still upset over the loss of Mamoru. Not only was he kidnapped, but he was brainwashed by Beryl to work for her. Minako decided to bring Usagi to this new hair salon to cheer her up. Little did they know the Yama Mitsuami was looking for the Moon Princess to steal the Silver Imperium crystal. She attacked Minako, thinking she was the princess, however they got the wrong one. Usagi and Minako transformed into Sailor Moon and Sailor Venus and charged the Yama. However, they began having problems as Usagi was unsure of herself and was only second-guessing, which caused her to get hit by most of the Yama's attacks. The fight was then brought out to the streets. This is where Naruto and Asuna come into the picture. The couple were returning from the grocers with their shopping down when they spotted the Yama attacking. The couple gave each other a look and nodded. Asuna went home with a shadow clone with the shopping, while Naruto stayed back to deal with the Yama. Naruto was trying to think what was it mother said to say to transform, he thought, thinking hard. Ah, screw it, let's do this, he suddenly exclaimed. Play mounting the fighting, beautiful Joe's fighting theme from anime. Enshin a go baby, Naruto said, striking a pose where his left fist was held at the hip and right arm with index and ring finger held down, but arm thrown upwards diagonally across his chest. Beautiful Joe's pose. Don't worry, I'm only stealing his pose, not his clothes. Suddenly Naruto was bathed in a brilliant white light, and when it dimmed he was decked out in a futuristic knight's armor. Picture Shepard's armor from ME3, just silver and no N7 on it. Behind him was a huge sword that could split into 7 different ones. He threw a Hiraishin kunai towards the top of the hair salon and flashed onto the roof when the kunai passed the roof and he plucked it out of the air. He then threw it down in front of the Yama to get its attention. The monster jumped back. What, who threw that? Show yourselves right now, it yelled. I am a man who fights in the darkness to protect the light, a seeker of peace and justice. I am the Moonlight Warrior, and I will vanquish you in the name of the moon, Naruto. Now the sage knight said. Moonlight Warrior, who is he and why does he sound so familiar? Usagi thought. Warrior disappeared in a flash and reappeared in front of the Yama and swung his sword to bisect the monster through the waist, however he missed as the monster jumped back. MLW then took a sword off his main one and sheathed the bigger one. The new sword being easier to swing even though he was able to swing the bigger sword like it was made of cardboard. MLW rushed the Yama, slashing in a diagonal fashion. The monster blocked it with its scissor hands. Getting fed up with this, Naruto formed the cross hand sign and shouted Shadow Clone Jutsu. 3 clones went to intercept the monster. They all attacked, pushing the monster's reflexes to the limit. Finally one of them got in and stunned the monster, and then the 3 of them kicked it high in the sky. When Mitsuami was high enough, the clones dispersed and Naruto jumped up while shooting the sword skywards. The monster was surrounded by the swords. Naruto then got to the same height Namikaze Ken no Atsu. Omnisarasu Namikaze swords arts Omni/Naruto then began a dangerous dance, incorporating many of the sword slashing and dicing into the monster, all the while recombining the swords. When the last sword was locked in place, the Yama exploded with light and turned to a pile of ashes, signaling its defeat. "Busted," Naruto said, and mounting the fighting, Naruto then began to walk away, but was stopped by 2 sets of weight. He turned around to see Sailor Moon and Venus walking towards him. He instantly knew who they were as their costumes did nothing to hide their faces, as he had a face mask much like the perverted one-eyed bastard Kakashi, and he had a helmet on with a tinted visor, but the mouth area was uncovered. He also had a red scarf. "Ah, princess, what honor," he said, bowing, and Sailor Venus, "glad to be of assistance and all, but I must take my leave, but I will see you again soon," he said. "Who are you?" Sailor Moon asked. "I am the Moonlight Warrior," he said, giving an eye smile. The girl's sweat dropped at this. "No, I mean really. Who are you?" she asked with the most serious face she could muster. This actually made Naruto chuckle cause his sister was never a really serious person. "Well, that's me to know and you to find out, however I will give you a clue, you never were too much serious, were you, Imto?" he said, and disappearing in a yellow flash. Isagi gasped. Did she have an older brother she didn't know about, she would ask Luna. "Wow, what a hot time," Inako said. Usagi had to sweat drop at that. "How could you tell?" "The only thing we could tell was that he had blue eyes," Usagi said. "Yeah, but I could tell sorta like a sixth sense," Mina replied. Usagi just rolled her eyes at that. With that they headed home. With Naruto. Naruto flashed inside his living room. Sitting down on the couch he relaxed. "Tadama, I'm home," he said, turning in the TV. Asuna came in from the kitchen, went over to him and snuggled up with him on the couch and kissed him. "Bakari Nasai, welcome home," she replied. "So have you revealed who you are to them yet, or did you give them an obscure hint, but then reveal something big like being Serenity's brother or something?" she asked. The latter, Naruto replied, "They'll know by tomorrow. Hopeful my appearance at school tomorrow will spark some memories," he added. "Everything will be explained tomorrow, Imto," he thought to himself. And done. Story begin. Later that night with Usagi. Usagi was in her room racking her brain trying to remember anything about a brother. She can remember a boy older than her with wild spiky blonde hair, but she couldn't remember a name, no matter how hard she tried. She had asked Luna, but she didn't remember much more than Usagi. Eventually she just gave up and went to sleep. Hopefully they would find more about the Moonlight Warrior tomorrow. Later that week. The next day the whole school was bustling with news about the new hero Moonlight Warrior. The girls were wondering if he was really handsome under the helmet, whereas the boys were talking about his badass sword and skills. Usagi and her friend Naru were talking about this finishing school that started up recently. Apparently girls have been going to it to learn how to be a princess. "Maybe if I go to this and learn how to be a proper princess, then people will take me more seriously," she thought. Then she immediately thought about what the Moonlight Warrior said to her. He even said I was never really a serious person, so I should take this seminar with it. She decided to take it. So after class she headed over to the mansion to sign up. At the same time with Naruto and Asuna. Naruto was reading through the newspaper and saw the advert for the finishing school and knew it was a plot by the Negaverse to try and oust Usagi as Princess Serenity. And one even better was that he knew Usagi would go to this to prove she was a proper princess. When they were kids back in the Silver Millennium, she would always try to prove she could be serious, but it would always backfire on her. "Hey Naruto-kun, look," Asuna said, walking into the living room. "What is it, Koham?" Naruto asked, looking at his beloved. "I made my own watch, sealing the power the Rikudo Sennin gave me into it. This way I can help now too, cause I have it set up to give me a fancy costume as well," she said, looking proud of herself. Naruto had to laugh when she said fancy costumes. If it was up to him he would have beat the shit out of the monsters in his normal clothing, but apparently in this world, it was better to hide one's identity with a disguise. "Wait, you sealed your powers into the watch, so does that mean that you're just a plain old kitsune?" Naruto asked, looking confused when he went back over what she said. "Yep," she replied, giving him a megawatt smile. "Although that means I'll still outlive you," she said, somewhat melancholic. "Don't worry, I think I'll be living for a long enough time. Remember we Uzumakas are stubborn bastards," Naruto said. Asuna giggled at this. He was right, Naruto could be a right old stubborn bastard when he wants to be. "And don't I know it," she replied. Of course she did, as she was the one to train him. Of course she wasn't as much as a slave driver as you think she would be, but he just wouldn't quit, he was a man on a mission. Just as it looked like he was going to pass out, he'd get up and go right back to it. They found his parents' house one night evading a mob. When they looked through it they found the scrolls left for him, both his father's jutsus and his mother's clan scrolls detailing the clan's taijutsu style and kenjutsu styles. That's why he was so good with his sword yesterday, you can't just pick that stuff up by holding a sword. I think it would be a good idea to go and check this place out and make sure my sister doesn't get herself hurt. Naruto said, getting up and stretching. Yeah, sounds like a plan, and maybe I can take the class as well to learn how to be a princess, Asuna said. The FFT, you don't need to learn how to be a princess, Kohen, you already are one. Naruto said, you, my Koichi beloved, already have the beauty and grace of one, you're kind and thoughtful. Hell, if I could I would marry you right now and make you my queen, Naruto finished with a foxy grin. This had his desired effect of giving her an atomic blush. And she couldn't help but think of her future with Naruto. She then lost control and giggled like a lovesick high schooler. Oh wait, she was one now. However, they also have a ballroom dancing class and I could use some practice, what do you think, Kohen? Naruto said. Asuna then got a dreamy look thinking about them ballroom dancing, and that did it for her. She took a hold of his arm and dragged him out the door. At the school, the three of them managed to get signed up. Naruto didn't do much as this was for girls who wanted to be princesses. However, he did manage to find out that the person in charge, Countess Rose, was under some kind of spell, and he managed to find out who was the one controlling the spell. It was this man with extremely white hair. If he didn't know any better, he would have mistaken him for the perverted bastard Jiraiya. Meanwhile, Usagi and Asuna were learning proper etiquette. They were balancing books on their head. Asuna had it down fast, whereas poor Usagi kept having the book fall off her head. She was as graceful as a bull in a china shop. Next they were throwing discus around, which Usagi excelled at, of course being Sailor Moon and all. Asuna was also doing great, she was trained as a shinobi, so she could throw any amount of weapons. Then came the moment Asuna was looking forward to. The ballroom dancing. Here the other senshi came in. And all the girls were paired off. Luckily Asuna got Naruto as her partner like she was hoping to. When the music started and they all started dancing, several things started happening. Ami and Makoto were dancing gracefully, as were several of the other girls. Rei, Mina and Usagi kept stepping on their partner's feet, however everyone had to stop and look at Naruto and Asuna dancing, it was so beautifully. They were so in sync that they were in a world of their own. The others couldn't help but watch. The senshi however were struck by memories looking at Naruto, he looked so familiar. The girls kept seeing images of a man very similar to Naruto dancing at one of the royal balls back in the old Moon Kingdom. Usagi even remembered dancing with this man in her memories. When they were finished, the unknown girls Asuna, Naruto, Ami and Makoto were all brought into another room. As they were walking in, Asuna and Naruto got the feeling they need to get out of here, so they summoned clones outside in the courtyard and substituted with them. Okay Kohen, now we just need to wait for the right moment to jump in and help Usagi and the others, Naruto said. Asuna nodded her agreement. However, at that moment they received their clones' memories. What happened was that those taken by the countess into the room were subjected to her turning into a Yama and then encasing them into wax. Their clones' wax kept their form as they stayed long enough for the wax to harden, however the Yama did manage to get Mercury and Jupiter. When Naruto and Asuna went to check on Usagi and the other two, they found them to be battling with the white-haired man, and the Yama and Prince Endymion also appeared. Seeing Endymion brought out Naruto's protectiveness for his sister, and he growled seeing him being controlled by the Negaverse. Well, this wasn't how I imagined revealing myself, but better sooner than later, at least I can reconnect with my sister and her friends, Naruto thought. You ready Kohen? Naruto asked his beloved. Ready when you are, Ruto-kun, Asuna said, taking a pose. Alright, let's do this, Naruto said. Start mounting the fighting from Beautiful Joe. This is more or less Naruto's theme song, so yeah. Then go go baby, they both said. And in a brilliant flash of light they transformed. However, Naruto's appearance changed. He now no longer had that stupid face mask that Kakashi would wear, and his visor was no longer tinted, so people could now see his brilliant blue eyes. He still had the scarf though, but it didn't cover his face. Asuna was clad in a skin-tight suit that stopped at her waist and a skirt. She had tights on and a pair of knee-high, heeled boots. She also had a helmet on with a visor on, but her hair came out in the back in a ponytail, and she had arm-length fingerless gloves on as well. Sylvia's outfit from Beautiful Joe, but with fox ears on the helmet and 9 tails swishing behind her, and the outfit is red. Inside with the others, Malachite and Endymion were fighting over what to do with Sailor Moon, while the Yama was fighting with the Senshi. When suddenly all 3 bad guys were attacked. Malachite and Endymion were attacked by Naruto and a clone, and the Yama was attacked by Asuna. What, who dare attack me? The 3 villains shouted. We did, Naruto and Asuna said simply. "And who might you two be?" Malachite asked. "We're your worst nightmare," Naruto said, wielding his sword. "Moonlight Warrior," Sailor Moon shouted. "Ah, so you're this Moonlight Warrior, pathetic, what a joke," Malachite said arrogantly. "Tsukiko Moon Fox, you get the Yama, I'll deal with Dumb and Dumber," Naruto said. He threw Hiraishin kunai towards Malachite, who tilted his head to dodge. "Weak, was that supposed to hit me?" he said again very arrogantly. But Naruto just smirked, disappearing in a yellow flash. He reappeared behind Malachite and swung his sword. Malachite was instantly on guard and jumped forward to avoid the sword. He escaped certain death, but unfortunately he didn't get away completely unharmed, as he was now sporting shorter hair. "Now what was that about being pathetic and a joke?" Naruto said with a smirk. The others, save for Asuna, had to gasp at the speed he showed. Mina had hearts in her eyes, and Ray was overly impressed. Endymion had a sour look on his face, and Malachite was furious. How dare this newcomer cut his hair? However, he was in for a surprise. As with what Naruto called out next, complete kick the shit out of him and Endymion. Namikaze Ninpo. Hiraishin Renda Namikaze ninja arts. Flying Thunder God Barrage. He disappeared again in a flash, and with several flashes Malachite and Endymion found themselves on the receiving end of one of the most brutal beatdowns ever. Between the flashes Naruto kicked and punched and knocked them all over the place, but mostly Malachite, as Endymion held his own, being quite proficient in the art of the sword. When it was over, the two men spit out some blood and declared war on Naruto for harming them. And with that they disappeared in a swirling inky black vortex. Asuna was handling the Yama easily. Then decided it would be a good idea to finish this off. She called to Naruto. "Babito lover, wanna finish this one off?" she asked. "Sure thing Tsukiko Haim," Naruto said. He held back his arm behind him and began charging his chakra. Everyone around felt the power building. The Sailor Senshi were amazed by the power that MLW was showing. He began forming a Rasengan, a swirling blue ball of chakra. However, he added his wind chakra to it, giving it a silver tint, and four Fuma shuriken blades began spinning around the equator of the sphere. When she saw this, Asuna jumped back far enough so she won't be in the radius of the attack. She also take the sailors with her. "Alright, time to finish this Futon." Rasen Shuriken wind style spiraling shuriken, he shouted, throwing the attack towards the Yama, who tried to dodge it, but the attack hit the ground right in front of her, thinking she was clear. However, the ball exploded outward, catching her, then she was completely annihilated, but millions of tiny microscopic wind blades. And Moonlight Warrior's theme song. All that was left was a smoking crater. Countess Rose was fine, however. Using a bit of her demon powers, Asuna was able to separate her from the Yama, saving her from the destruction. With the battle done, Sailor Mercury and Jupiter were freed from the wax and quickly transformed and went to help the others. However, they found the battle over with. However, they were surprised over the presence of Naruto and Asuna, who were getting ready to leave. However, they were stopped by Sailor Moon. "Moonlight Warrior, wait," she said. "What is it, Tsuki Moon Princess?" he asked her. "What did you mean yesterday when you called me your Imto?" She asked, "Are you really my older brother? I remember something, but I can't remember what exactly." "Well, I called you my Imto cause that's exactly who you are. You are Princess Serenity, younger sister to Prince Naruto of the Moon Kingdom," he said, transforming into his royal appearance. Picture Ike's armor from Fire Emblem, with a whirlpool plate on the headband, which is Naruto's from Shippuden. Unfortunately, this had not as great an effect as Naruto was going for, as they all gasped which he wanted, but they still didn't recognize him. "Still nothing?" he asked, to which they all nodded. "Right, maybe this might help," he said. He went through a few hand signs and said, "Ninpo. Kaiho Memori no Jutsu Ninja Arts. Memory unlocking technique." Then suddenly tendrils of chakra rose out of Naruto and touched the girls on the forehead, unlocking the deeper memories they had hidden on their past lives. It was a couple of minutes before they came out of the trance they were in, and suddenly Naruto was tackled by Usagi. "Ani-chan, I'm so glad to see you again after so long," Usagi said, crying into his chest. Overjoyed to have her brother from her past life back, she broke down, telling him everything that happened to her and how Endymion was kidnapped by Beryl. Naruto just stood there soothing the girl. "There, Imto, Naruto Ani-chan is here now. We'll get him back, don't you worry," he said, hugging his sister back, glad that she remembered him again. Asuna was glad to see Naruto have his sister back. It was the least he deserved after the life he had in that cesspit Konoha. The other senshi were both glad for finally remembering Naruto. It was when Asuna finally cleared her throat that the others realized she was there. This ticked her off a bit, clearly shown from the tick mark on her temple. "Ah, I forgot, ladies, this is my beloved Asuna, Koishi, this is my sister Serenity, and the Sailor Senshi, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter and Venus," Naruto said, nervously laughing as he forgot Asuna was there for a moment. The girls all said a hello. When all introductions were down, there was a question on all the senshi's minds, but it was Usagi who voiced it. "Wait, why weren't reborn here with the rest of us, Ani-chan?" she asked. "Well, just before mother sent me to Earth to be reborn, I was sucked in by a wormhole created by Beryl. As luck would have it, though, I went to some place where I would be stronger," Naruto said. He then told them of his early life. Now, to say that the girls were angry at what Inhabited did was like saying Jiraiya was only a normal pervert. Oh no, they were furious. In fact, if they were there they would dish out supreme justice out to them Sailor Senshi style. While they were thinking of ways to harm those that harmed their Oni-chan senpai prince, Naruto was counting the number of senshi. "Imto, girls, where is Neptune, Saturn and Uranus?" he asked. The girls looked puzzled, they were only aware of each other. "We don't know, we weren't aware there were more senshi," Usagi replied. Naruto shrugged, he was a little saddened the other senshi weren't here, but he knew they could take care of each other, especially Uranus, she was nearly as bull-headed as he could be sometimes. "Don't worry about it, they'll show their faces around here sometime soon. Now ladies, myself and Kohim here need to make ourselves scarce, but don't fret as we will be around and we catch up sometime soon, okay?" Naruto said. The senshi just nodded their head. "Alright then, we'll see you again soon senshi," Naruto said as he took a hold of Asuna and flashed away, shocking the senshi. "I wonder how he does that," Makoto asked. The others just nodded their agreement. Makoto then looked at the battlefield they left behind. Thankfully Countess Rose was unconscious, so she saw nothing of their encounter with Naruto. However, look back where Malachite was, Makoto spotted something embedded into the wall, so she went over to see what it was. When she got there and pulled it out of the wall, the others looked to see what she found. "What did you find, Jupiter?" Sailor Moon asked. "It looks like some kind of throwing knife, but it doesn't look very effective when thrown," Jupiter replied. She was holding one of Naruto's Hiraishin kunai. What they didn't know was that Naruto had left it there for them to discover it. You see, Naruto was hoping to play a prank on them. He is a trickster at heart. "Alright, let's head back to the shrine so we can figure things out from there," Ray said. They would always meet at Ray's family's shrine to come up with tactics against the Negaverse. So the girls headed there with Usagi and Mina picking up Luna and Artemis on the way. At the Hikawa shrine, when Usagi arrived at the shrine from picking Luna up from her house, she found all the girls outside rather than inside. Ray was in a lotus position, presumably meditating on all the information they all received today. Makoto and Mina were still looking at Naruto's kunai and were wondering what was so special about it. Mina was getting annoyed at not knowing, so in her frustration, she told Makoto to throw it and see if anything happens. Makoto did as told, she aimed for a tree, but she didn't throw it well enough to go that far, and it ended sticking in the ground a few feet away from here. Meanwhile, Naruto felt the familiar thug of the kunai and waited about 5 minutes to flash cause he figured the girls were about to talk about him. He turned to Asuna and smiled his foxy grin. "I'm going to be gone for a short while, Asuna. I'm just going to drop in on the girls," he said. Asuna just replied with a foxy grin of her own. Back with the girls, Isagi and the other girls were sitting together and Ray just woke from her trance. "Hey Luna, we figured out who Mayaniki is today," Usagi started with a smile. "Oh, and who is he, if you don't mind telling me?" Luna said, interested to find out who this mysterious brother was. "I'm hurt that you would forget me, Luna. Who was it that gave you all that good food you loved so much? Cause I know it certainly wasn't Imto. Aki-san wouldn't let her go to Earth," Naruto said, making the girls jump from him suddenly talking like that. "Ah Nikki, don't do that, you nearly scared us half to death," Usagi screamed, slapping Naruto on the arm playfully. "Mama, Imto, no need to burst my eardrums," Naruto replied, sticking a finger in his ear and twisting it as if to clear out wax. Luna looked at Naruto and recognized him immediately, unlike the Sailor Senshi. She never had as great as memory problems as Usagi, and the others were under stress from the fight with Malachite and Zoisite. "Ah Prince Naruto, it appears you have returned to us," Luna said, bowing. Naruto simply waved her back up. "Luna, I told you not to bow in front of me, I have always considered you family, like a nanny," he said. Luna did as he said. Naruto, how is it you showed up here so suddenly like that? We would have seen you coming from the entrance if you had walked here, but it was like you suddenly appeared," Ami asked. "Ah well, you see Ami, that was one of my techniques I know, developed by my biological father of this life," he said. He went over and picked up his kunai. He explained before of his life as a shinobi, so they knew he had certain abilities. "You see, this kunai has a special seal on it that is tuned to my blood, so that only I can use it in conjecture with the jutsu. The jutsu is known as the Hiraishin no Jutsu. A jutsu that allows a person to travel from point A," he said, pointing to where he was standing, to point B, he said, throwing the kunai and hitting the tree that Makoto had aimed for previously. He disappeared in a yellow flash and reappeared in front of the tree instantaneously. He takes little chakra with the aid of these kunai that act as markers. Ryoto-san Minato Namek is the Yondaime Hokage, used this jutsu to take out a whole army of ninja during the Third Great Shinobi War before I was born. It was how he got his moniker Konoha no Kairoi Senkmer, Konoha's yellow flash, as all anyone would see was the yellow flash of him disappearing and reappearing," Naruto explained. "Wow, that was so cool," Minako said. The others nodded dumbly. Luna was puzzled as to Naruto's past life, so Naruto then told Luna of his life in Konoha. Oh, how Luna was furious. How could they treat an innocent child like that? Do they have no common sense between them? She said. Naruto shrugged. He never really questioned much as he was in a better place now with his Koichi, and he was reunited with his sister and their friends. So Luna, do you know if Uranus, Neptune or Saturn have awakened yet or have only the inner senshi awoken so far, Naruto asked. You see, unlike the others, he remembers everything about the old moon kingdom, seeing as they were unlocked by Pluto and only clarified themselves when he visited the old moon palace and met with his mother Queen Serenity. So he knew of all the senshi. He remembers being real close to Neptune and Uranus as they were around the same age. I believe only the inner senshi have awoken so far, Naruto, Luna said, hanging her head in defeat. Ma, don't worry about it too much, probably a reason as to why they haven't awoken yet, Naruto said. Anyway, I'm going to go home for now, I want to get back to my koishi. I'll see you guys around, Jana, he said, disappearing in a yellow flash. I don't think I'll ever get used to him doing that, Usagi said, looking towards the spot Naruto last occupied. The others just nodded dumbly. It was going to take some time getting used to being in the presence of a ninja that can do the impossible, but hey, they're teenage girls who transform into Sailor Fucus and fight the forces of evil, so who were they to judge? But Naruto appeared in his living room in a flash of yellow. Brushing off the cold he felt from being out in the wintry weather, he saw Asuna asleep on the couch, he went over to her and brushing her hair out of her face, he kissed her on the forehead, saying softly to Dama. This had the effect of waking her up gently. Rubbing the sleep out of her eyes, she looked towards her mate and smiled warmly. Akari Nasai Kibito, she said, and reached up to give him a kiss. Would you like to join me in watching a movie with me, Koichi, Naruto asked. What movie do you have in mind, Ruto-kun? Asuna asked. Well, let's see, I have Marley and Me or Back to the Future, Naruto said, looking at the movies he purchased from the video store. The clerk said that the second one was one of those movies you had to see before you died. He bought them because the second sounded interesting and the first was in case Asuna liked that sort of thing. Can we watch the second one please, and sounds kind of interesting, is it some sort of time travel story, she asked. Yeah, it is actually. Alright then, Back to the Future it is then, Naruto said calmly. I love this woman, he thought. He placed the movie into the DVD player and hit play. So for the next 116 minutes, they were completely engrossed in the movie. It was funny, moving and enjoyable, and the music was nice as well. After the movie they made a simple dinner of pasta and tomato sauce. And with dinner done, the two lovers got ready for bed and snuggled up under the covers to prepare for the next day. Story begin. Since they had come to our dimension, the two elemental national lovers have been enjoying their relative peace in Japan. Naruto and Asuna could be normally found at either their apartment or the school. Let's just say that they have been acing every test. I've said it once, Asuna-chan, and I'll say it again. Shadow clones are one of the most badass jutsus ever. Naruto said, reading through the paper. He was looking through it to check out what was going on in the world. I mean, seriously, we must be the only ones in Japan who can study every night doing homework and yet being able to have a very healthy social life. And it's all thanks to the shadow clone's ability to transfer memories to the caster. He chuckled. Yes, I must say it is rather nice to be able to go out at nights instead of staying in all night studying for exams, Asuna said. But of course, Koichi, I love our dates together. Oh, look at this, there's a skiing resort up in the mountains. We should go for a romantic weekend. What do you think, Koichi? Naruto said, looking towards his girlfriend. Sounds like a wonderful idea, Kibito. We'll get to learn how to ski and everything, Asuna said, smiling at her boyfriend. It had been truly wonderful spending time with Naruto ever since they came here. He would always take time to consider if she wanted to do anything and never did anything she didn't or would like. Braid'll call the resort and arrange a room, then we can go out and get our gear for it. Naruto said as he went and called the resort, booking the biggest room they had. Hey, anything for his Koham, right? Of course, she is my queen to be, she deserves the best, he thought to himself. While Naruto was booking the room, Asuna was getting ready to go to the mall, and by that all I mean is she was getting dressed. But the sailor senshi. We find Usagi and the girls at their usual spot, i.e. Rei's shrine. The reason why they all were there, well, normally they would plan their next moves against the Negaverse. However, at the moment, Usagi was excited over a flyer she found about a contest called the Miss Moon contest. It was a skiing contest, and Usagi figured it'd be a good idea to go and try out, and she gave an excuse about it having to do with her being Princess Serenity. Well, after they argued a little over how Luna and Artemis would be angry about them shirking their duties or happy to get them out of their fur for a while, it was brought to attention how they wouldn't be able to get any rooms at the resort. However, Yuichiro revealed that his parents have a place up in the mountains they could use. So with that question answered, they headed to the mall at Usagi's and Mina's insistence to get gear for the trip. At the mall, Naruto and Asuna had entered the mall and were headed to the sports store when they bumped into the girls. Yuichiro wasn't there as he already had gear, seeing as his family was stinking rich and had a place up at the ski slopes. Oni-chan, Asuna, what are you guys doing here? Usagi said, spotting Naruto and Asuna. Oh, girls, well, we're going shopping for some skiing gear and winter clothing, Naruto said. Yes, Naruto booked us a room at the skiing resort for a weekend away, Asuna said, smiling warmly at the thought of the romantic getaway Naruto had planned. Mina, Usagi and surprisingly Makoto had hearts in their eyes. "Oh my god, that sounds so romantic," the girls all squealed at once, then Usagi broke off and took to a thinking pose. "Well, Ani-chan always was a kind man, he always put the needs of others before him, so it's only natural that he can be romantic," she said, nodding her head. The girls then looked to Naruto to get a confirmation. "Well, of course I was, but that was then, and now I have my koishi to spoil rotten as I see fit," he declared, giving Asuna a warm smile, who returned it. Then they shared a kiss, and the girls could only go oh. They all then headed into the store, and Naruto had gotten the skis and goggles, and he also got his thermal clothes. However, all the girls took to modeling their clothes in front of Naruto. This was of course after Asuna started doing it. After about an hour of the modeling, they headed to the food court where they all got cheeseburgers and fries. They started talking about how school was going and whatnot, but then a thought came to the Senshus' minds, but it was Makoto that asked the question they were all wondering. "So Naruto, what do you plan on doing after school?" she asked. "Don't know yet, to be honest, but then again I don't really need to do anything as I have a small fortune already from when I was a shinobi. There is also the revival of the Moon Kingdom," he replied. To this they all nodded but were all surprised to hear about the small fortune. "Anyway, we best go home and pack, we'll see you girls at the weekend," Naruto said. He got up and took Asuna's hand and they both went on their way. Asuna waved to the girls and they all waved back. Time skipped to the weekend. Naruto and Asuna made it to the mountain resort no problem. When they went to the hotel and got their room, Asuna was surprised to see the size of the room. "Naruto, there was no need to get a room this big," she said. "Ah, but I had to, it was one of the last rooms left and I just had to spoil my queen," he said, embracing her in a hug. Asuna soon melted into the hug and turned around to return it. After they got settled into their room, the couple got ready and went out to enjoy the slopes. Asuna had her skis, but Naruto had his snowboard. Don't him wrong, Naruto would have enjoyed skiing as much as the next guy, but Naruto had enjoyed the idea of snowboarding. He had read up on it before they left, he even had a few clones go out and learn how to do it before trying it himself. All it needed was fast reflexes, which he had in spades, thanks to his ninja training. With Usagi and the girls, "That was a lot of fun, you guys," Ami said, surprising everyone. "Yeah, and that instructor was a total hunk," Makoto said. "He reminded me of my senpai, I'll say, and he was real helpful. I mean, even Usagi managed not to fall on her face," Mina said, while the other two giggled in agreement. "Hey, don't be so mean, Mina, but yeah, he was really helpful," Usagi said. They all then looked towards the main slope, where they spotted Rei and Yuichiro coming down. As soon as they got near, they skidded to a halt. "Wow, Rei, you two look really good there," Mina said, compliment the Mars scout. "Thanks you guys, those slopes are really wicked and they're so much fun. You should try them," Rei said. "No thanks, I'll stick to the smaller slopes," Ami said. Makoto and Mina agreed. "Point me to the bunny slopes," Usagi said. "You know, Usagi, you need to practice and try the bigger slopes if you want to qualify for the Miss Moon contest," Yuichiro said. "I mean, most of the girls trying out are all trying the normal slopes, but you'd be a shoo-in to winning if you were able to biggest slope, the double black diamond," he said, pointing towards the biggest slope. Not a lot of people were using that slope, only the more experienced skiers were, and even still there was a small few. Usagi didn't like it, not one bit. However, as they looked at the slope, they saw two figures they recognized. Asuna was flying down the slope with the form of a professional, however they were surprised by what Naruto was doing. Naruto was flying down the slope, zigzagging back and forth like a surfer on the biggest wave. They were all impressed by the skill he showed. When he came close to them, he twisted the board sideways and skidded to a halt. "Sup," was all he said, taking off the goggles and placing them on his forehead. "Wow, Naruto, that was very cool," Makoto said. "How long have you been snowboarding?" she asked. "That was my first time," he said, giving a huge shit-eating grin. Everyone fell at that except Asuna, as it was her first time as well. "What, but how were you doing so well?" Rei asked, wanting to get to the bottom of this. "I have ninja-like reflexes," Naruto said, giving them a wink. They all sweat dropped at this except Yuichiro, who laughed at that was a joke. "It was just all reacting with the flow, you know, it was totally gnarly," he said, smiling. After the girls recovered, they resumed enjoying skiing and snowboarding for Naruto. He had to admit that stuff like this was great. Of course, he got the idea of snowboarding from the Snow Ninja, the time he helped Koyuki in the Land of Snow. When evening came around, it was time for the contest to begin. There was a woman standing by the starting line waiting for the contestants to get in line. Suddenly Malachite appeared behind her. "Is everything ready?" he said. "Of course, master, those sailor scouts won't know what hit them," the woman said. "But I'm not leaving here without that silver Imperium crystal," and with that Malachite disappeared from view as if he was never there. During the start of the race, Usagi and Rei and surprisingly Asuna were all competing in the main event. The same woman from before came on stage and told them about the course and how they added a bunch of new jumps and obstacles. After that, they were given the signal to begin. And with that, they all started to push off with Asuna and Rei in a clear lead. All that was left was Usagi and the woman who was known as Stormy Kincaid. Yuichiro came up behind Usagi and pushed her and she was off. After Usagi went in typical Usagi fashion, i.e. screaming and crying, but surprisingly not falling over. Stormy went next, much to Yuichiro's confusion. "Alright, time to wipe out the competition," Stormy said as she let off a massive wave of energy. Suddenly Asuna and Rei ran into massive bumps in the trail. "What the? Those weren't there before," Rei shouted. That's what the guide meant about new obstacles," Asuna replied. They turned as Usagi came rocketing by them. "Help you guys, I can't stop," she screamed as she passed them. To this they both sweat dropped. Then Stormy showed up and using her Nega powers, caused a boulder of snow to chase them. "Usagi, quick, get control, there's an avalanche," Rei shouted. "As if I had any control to begin with," Usagi shouted back. Next Stormy transformed into Yama and began causing more mayhem for the three girls. Using her powers she formed a valley on the course which the girls headed into. Yuichiro, wanting to help the girls, got in front of the boulder to try and stop it. He ends up getting hit and buried in snow. However, Naruto quickly used a quick Kaiten fire style jutsu to stop the avalanche behind the boulder and he bided his time in order to help Usagi and Rei. The Yama that was once Stormy Kincaid now began closing off the valley to trap the girls. Asuna, however, quickly Sunshine body flickered out of there to get help. Usagi was leaning against the wall as Rei was trying to climb out to see about getting help. She got halfway up when she was hit by some snow, causing her to fall back down. "You're being stubborn, Rei, just be patient, someone will come and help us eventually," she said. "Yeah, someone who will happen to be some Negadweeb who's after you and the Silver Imperium crystal, or have you forgotten that they are the ones behind this?" Rei retorted. She then tried climbing again. Well, Usagi just sat down and opened her star locket which started playing a melody. This always managed to cheer her up. After a while Rei sat down beside Usagi who then closed the locket. "Oh sorry Rei, I'm such a total meatball head, I completely forgot about you and Mamoru," she said. Rei just said forget it as she never really thought of Mamoru as nothing more than a crush. She said that the relationship that Usagi had with him was more solid. "Don't worry Usagi, we'll get him back, wait and see, especially now with the help of your older brother, the Negadweeb won't know what hit them, I just wish we can launch a Sailor Senshi assault and get them with a surprise attack," Rei said. Then it hit Usagi. "Wait, why didn't I think of it before? We should transform and with your abilities we can melt a way out of here," Usagi said. Rei had to agree that was a good idea, but just as Rei was about to transform, Yuichiro showed up after his avalanche surfing. "Hey girls, this way," it dug a tunnel to the top, he said. However, he was cut off by Stormy Kincaid, who transformed into the Yama who announced herself as Blizzard, who tired freezing the girls. However, Yuichiro got in the way, getting frozen himself. After that the girls transformed into their sailor forms. Blizzard formed a spear of ice and threw it with Mars dodging and Moon barely managing to avoid it. Mars threw a Mars fire attack at it which Blizzard easily avoided. Blizzard then went to throw another spear at the girls only to be denied by Tuxedo Mask. "Tuxedo Mask, you rescued us," Mars and Moon exclaimed. "Sailor Moon, Sailor Mars, it's good to see you again," he said, then turned to Blizzard. "Blizzard, Queen Beryl wants that crystal intact, so let me show you how to do that," he said, taking out a black rose and threw it at the girls. However, mid-flight it was deflected by a kunai knife. Then Tuxedo Mask and Blizzard had to jump to avoid a tri-pronged kunai, however the girls gasped, knowing who those kunai belonged to. In a yellow flash Naruto appeared in front of the group. "Do you get a kick out of giving the girls hope that you are still on their side, only to stab them in the back, Endymion, or are you truly so gone right now that you can't remember the good times?" Naruto asked, raising his sword to prepare for his attack. "Moonlight Warrior, you hear?" Sailor Moon said. "But of course Sailor Moon, it is my job as your older brother to look after you after all," he said. "Now you girls take care of Ice Queen over here, while I take care of tall brainwashed and stupid over here." He finished lunging at Tuxedo Mask, who jumped up out of the hole with Naruto hot on his tail. "Who are you to interfere like this?" Tuxedo Mask asked, getting pissed off at this guy as this is the second time he has foiled his plans to get the Imperium crystal. "Don't you remember, buddy? I'm Serenity's older brother. Don't remember you came to me asking advice on how to win my sister's heart and then I had to kick your ass and threatened to do it again should you ever break it," Naruto said, grinning. That's right, Naruto in his past life fought off jerks and jagoffs that wanted to date the princess. Tuxedo Mask grasped his head, recalling memories forgotten. He remembers a man with blonde hair and striking blue eyes. However, it was at that moment he was called back by Queen Beryl. "Sorry, I got a jet, but I have to leave for now, until next time, Moonlight Warrior." Back with the girls, Sailor Mars had just gotten the upper hand on Blizzard. "Sailor Moon now," she said. "Right, Moon healing escalation," she said, activating her Moon Wand powers. In a flash of light Blizzard was turned from ugly Yama back to the beautiful Stormy Kincaid. Naruto appeared, recollecting his kunai. "Hey girls, let me just get her out of here and I'll come back for you guys," he said, leaving a kunai in the ground and disappearing in a flash of yellow and reappearing not 20 seconds later. Then he took back the kunai and grabbed hold of the girls. "And Yuichiro, okay, we're gonna head back to mine and Asuna's room where the others are okay." Seeing their nods of agreement, he had them disappeared in another flash of yellow. Back at Naruto and Asuna's room, Asuna and the girls were gathered round the fire pit in the main area of the room. Here there was a chimney of sorts to make sure the smoke of the fire left the room safely. Anyway, the girls were gathered round the fire and sipping hot chocolate, warming themselves after the day's fun in the snow and wintry weather. "So Asuna, tell us, how are things going with Naruto?" Mina asked, looking towards the older girl in question. "Well, things are going great, he's really attentive and considerate. I mean, anytime he always asks me what movie to watch, I always pick the one I know he wants to watch, but that's beside the point as he always picks one out for me as well. And it's like he said, he treats me like a queen. He does all the washing up, the cleaning and the cooking. Oh my, how his cooking is delicious. Everything he makes just melts in your mouth," she said with a dreamy expression on her face. "Wow, I wish I had a guy like that," Mina asked. "Yes, but that's not to say I can't do those things myself. It's just rare I get to do them, as he is always sneaky in doing them," Asuna replied. Just as she finished her sentence, the room was illuminated by a brief flash of yellow, and there stood Naruto, Usagi and Rei, and a sleeping Yuichiro being held up by Naruto as he hadn't yet recovered from Blizzard's attack. "Hey guys, Koichi," Naruto said, placing Yuichiro down and walking over to Asuna and sitting down. Asuna then began to snuggle up to him. "So what you guys up to?" "Oh, we were just chatting, you know, girl talk," Mina said, smiling. "Oh, I hope it was nothing too gossipy," Naruto said. The girls just shook their heads. "Nope," came the reply. After a while, Yuichiro managed to come back to the land of the living. "Hey you guys, who's up for some late night skiing?" he asked. Rei was all for it, however the girls weren't all for it. Makoto was a bit moody seeing as their ski instructor turned out to be married. Mina was undecided and Ami wouldn't mind, but decided it would be best to turn in for the night. Usagi was traumatized by the day's events and would be glad to never to see another pair of skis in her life. Yuichiro and Rei then turned towards the older couple. "Hey, how about you guys wanna come for some skiing at midnight?" he asked them. "No thanks, I and Asuna were thinking about having some fun in the onsen that the room has," Naruto said, giving a little perverted smile towards Asuna, who blushed scarlet. The other girls all wore a blush themselves. "Biwiro Nai-chan," Usagi squealed, glaring at her older brother. "Aren't you too young to be at that sort of thing?" she said. "Now when I was made a genin for my village, I became an adult and anyway old enough to kill, old enough to rot like rabbit," he said, smiling while sticking his tongue out. This earned him another blush from the girls. Of course, this unfortunately went over Yuichiro's head as he was still recovering from getting caught in the snow slide. Naruto just started laughing at everyone else's reaction. After a while, the others left Naruto and Asuna to their own devices. Naruto headed into the kitchen area to make the two some dinner. While they were eating, they began to have a conversation. "So what did you think of today, Koichi?" Naruto asked his lover. "I had much fun today, Naruto," she said. "I must say that skiing was very fun and I'd love to do some more tomorrow and again another time," she said. "Of course, although right now I think I shall have some fun in the tub," he said, getting up and walked over to Asuna and picked her up bridal style. Asuna squeaked in surprise and then giggled at her boyfriend's perverseness. They then went and had some fun only two young adults could have under the cover of night. And done. Story begin. But Usagi and Mina were currently watching TV. Instead of doing their homework for the weekend, they were watching footage of the gold medalists Janelle and Misha. The two teenage girls were completely entranced by how they danced on the ice. Well, of course, they were actually saying how cool it was and how sweet it would be to be able to do that. "Hey Luna, with the way Usagi and Mina are acting with this, do you think she's getting her memories of her past self back quicker?" Artemis said, seeing Usagi pretending to skate only to fall on her bottom her face. "She could be. I do remember ice skating being quite popular during the Silver Millennium," Luna replied. "Yeah, and Princess Serenity was one of the best," Artemis added. "Wait, really? What about Ani-chan? Do you remember him being any good?" Usagi asked. "Well, I don't remember ever seeing him when we would watch over you. Now, however, I can't say it would surprise me if he was good, as your brother seems like one to do the impossible, especially after what you told me of how he was great at that snowboarding you told me about, even though it was his first time doing it," Luna replied. Meanwhile, with Naruto and Asuna were currently ice skating. Naruto and Asuna had watched the same footage and Naruto remembered the same as Artemis and Luna. So, wanting to see if he could remember his skating skills, he took Asuna to the local lake that was frozen during the winter season. Of course, they went to buy some skates first. When they got there, Asuna was also curious as to the sport. It looked fascinating on the television, however she was unsure of whether they could learn it without instruction like skiing. However, she was amazed when after they put their skates on, Naruto hopped onto the ice and managed to get it straight away. He looked like a natural on the ice. Again, it kinda helped that he had unbelievably fast ninja reflexes and balance. He went over and stopped by his beloved who had just finished putting her skates on. "Okay, now let's get you skating my Kohen," Naruto said, offering a hand to his beloved. "But of course Naruto," Asuna replied, taking the offered hand. She carefully stepped out onto the ice with Naruto and he showed her how to slowly begin to skate. Surprisingly, she managed to get it down really quick, but like Naruto, it helped she had unnaturally fast reflexes and balance. As they began to dance along the ice, Naruto thought back the last couple of weeks he had spent with his beloved, especially seeing as they had consummated their relationship. He noticed one morning he had a mark on his neck, but seeing as it looked like only a small bruise, he thought nothing of it, except when he awoke this morning. The mark he saw now was what looked like a tattoo of two nine-tailed foxes, one blonde with striking electric blue eyes and a red vixen with crimson eyes. He knew he never went to get a tattoo, or at least not yet, but he had no idea what this meant, so he asked Asuna. "Hey Koichi, I noticed that there is this mark on my neck from where you nibble on it one night," he said. "Oh really, what does it look like?" Of course she knew what it was and what it meant, but she wanted Naruto to first describe what his mark was like, as she had the exact same one on her neck, where he bit her as well during one of their love-making sessions. Naruto then described his mark, and she was overjoyed. "Well Narukoi, what it is a mate mark. Basically what it means is we have taken each other as our mate or life partner, and Kitsune only ever take one mate as we mate for life," Asuna said, with the warmest smile Naruto has seen her give. "Wait, mate as in spouse or soulmate?" Naruto asked. "Yes, in human terms we would be married," she explained. However, she was saddened as she thought he didn't want this. However, he shocked her as he pulled her into an embrace suddenly and kissed her passionately. He broke the kiss a couple of minutes later when they needed to breathe. "This is amazing Koichi, you know," I said, "because we are only 15 we can't get married just yet. However, this is even better. I kinda saw that this is some kind of genjutsu and it appears to have bound our life forces together, right?" Naruto asked. Asuna nodded. "Yes, it more or less ties our souls together as well as our life forces, but I don't see why that would excite you so," and she drifted off trying to think what would get him so excited. "Well, from what I can tell Kohen, my life force was already so strong to grant me a longer life than most humans. However, combine that with yours and we would live for a very long time, maybe even forever, so long as we don't get fatally wounded," Naruto said, smirking. However, what he didn't know was that if it weren't for that he was bound to constant reincarnation so as to continue the reign of the Moon Kingdom. Of course, when Naruto revealed this to Asuna, the pieces finally began to connect and she was thrilled. She was afraid she would outlive Naruto, but she forgot that with the mate mark their lives were tied, and as long as one lived so to the other, as their life forces are combined. She squealed with delight and kissed Naruto passionately again. As she did, she also thought back on their love life so far and she remembered something important that might affect them sometime soon. "Oh Naruto-kun, I forgot to mention, but we Kitsune have a period of heat where we are most likely to get pregnant. It happens 3 times a year, and my first since I had been released from the seal is due any time now, so I thought I'd tell you," she said, quite embarrassed about such a thing. "Don't worry about it for now, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, and anyway if you get pregnant then so be it, I'm ready for a kid, and to be honest, this won't affect our careers at all, seeing as we don't actually have to work as we have so much money," Naruto said, completely serious. To be honest, Naruto's biggest dream is to have a big family, and now seeing as he was technically married, he was well on his way to achieving his dream. That whole Hokage thing was just a mask and a dream of a lonely boy trying to gain a bit of acknowledgement. "Are you sure about that, Narukoi?" Asuna asked. "But of course, my queen. I would be thrilled to be a father and I can't wait to start a family with you," he said. Asuna was overjoyed to hear that. If she was completely honest, she too wanted to start a family, but she was worried Naruto would think they were too young, which technically they kinda are, but with their appearance, they can pass for 18-year-olds rather than 15-year-olds. They skated a while and afterwards they headed home to enjoy some hot chocolate after spending some time out in the cold weather. As they headed back towards the center of the city, they met with the girls who were on their way towards the new ice rink for lessons being given by Misha and Janelle. The lessons would be free to groups of 5. Naruto thought that was a very specific number, and he also thought it was a plot by the Negaverse, but then again he had no proof. "Hey Nai-chan, me and Mina were wondering, Luna and Artemis said that I used to be able to skate pretty good back in the Moon Kingdom, but I don't remember you skating that much back then. Did you used to skate?" Usagi asked him. The other girls looked towards him wondering that very thought themselves. At this, Naruto could only chuckle. "Well, actually most of my time was spent in the fighting competitions," Naruto said, rubbing the back of his neck. "I mean, I skated now and again, but I was either training or fighting in the arena." The others could only shake their heads as that sounded like something the guy would do. Especially Usagi, as she actually remembers Naruto training when he wasn't keeping her or their mother company. "Well, I must say that he is very good when he taught me today," Asuna decided to voice her opinion. "So are you guys going to the new ice rink?" Mina asked. "We might head over after the lessons," Asuna said. But for now me and Naruto have some studying to do, she said in a way that suggested they were not going to be studying, especially with the goofy grin Naruto had on his face said anything about it. Unfortunately the girls catch on and all sport blushes. Iwiro Nai-chan, shouldn't you be focusing more on your studies, Usagi said. Nah, we don't need to worry, we are top of our class after all, Naruto replied. Seriously, wow, you must be as smart as Ami then, Nai-chan, Usagi said. Well, I don't want to toot my horn, anyway we need to get going, I'll see you around sometime, Kmto, Naruto said. Okay, see you soon, Nai-chan, Usagi said, hugging Naruto before he and Asuna left. Usagi and the girls then headed to the ice rink for their skating. The girls got to the skating rink, they found out it was packed and everyone was out on the ice. Eventually the girls went out on the ice to get a feel for it and they all stumbled for a bit except Makoto, who took to it like a fish to water. Usagi was Usagi for a while until she started to remember her past experiences in greater detail thanks to her older brother's jutsu. Soon Usagi and Makoto drew all attention to themselves as everyone stood watching. Misha and Janelle were suspicious of the two as their objective was to look out for girls who skate like professionals, as they have been hypnotized into obeying Malachite. When the session was finished, Usagi and Makoto were asked to stay behind for private lessons by Misha. When they were approached by Misha, Janelle confronted him as she was jealous someone else was dancing with Misha. The two then Nega monsters sorted out their problems and then transformed into futuristic-looking dancers and attacked the girls. Unfortunately Makoto was hit bad and ended up passing out. Usagi managed to transform and was skating to avoid the two skaters. After a while Tuxedo Mask showed up. Tuxedo Mask helped Sailor Moon because of his sense of honor as the two of them skated together to fight the cyber skaters. Naruto was watching, making sure that Endymion didn't try anything with his sister. It was difficult, but Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask managed to defeat and revert to two ice skaters to their original selves. Jupiter finally managed to wake up to see Tuxedo Mask leave once more. As the girls leave, Makoto was reminiscing on her past romance when suddenly a boy walked by and she chased after him. Now we see Naruto and Asuna walking home after making sure the girls managed to get home safely. Naruto and Asuna were talking about random stuff when a thought came to Naruto's mind. Hey Asuna, is there a fox summoning contract? Naruto asked his mate. Yes, actually there is, but the contract in the elemental countries was lost ages ago, why do you ask? Asuna replied. Well, seeing as we're no longer working with that cesspit, I think the toads wouldn't be too keen on working with me, seeing as my loyalties no longer lay with said cesspit. Naruto said, however he was surprised by the look in his mate's eyes. Koichi, what's wrong? Naruto, did you cancel the contract with the toads? Asuna said, taking a hold of him. No, oh shy, he was cut off as he disappeared in a poof of smoke. Oh shit is right Koi, just give them hell for me, Asuna said as she shed a tear, hoping her love will return to her soon as she headed towards their apartment. Where Naruto disappeared to. Naruto finished reappearing in a familiar room. Ha, told you it would work. Haim came a voice that made Naruto's voice boil. Whatever you old pervert, now let's handle this with extreme care, came a feminine voice that sounded slightly slurred. Naruto turned around to find himself in front of his so-called godparents. It was at this point he saw red. What the fuck am I doing back here, you miserable old fucks, he said with venom dripping from his words. Tsunade and Jiraiya were taking aback as if the three didn't part ways on bad terms. Well Gaki, don't call me a brat, you perverted old miserable excuse for a man like we are close or something cause we are from that, Naruto interrupted Jiraiya as he delivered a swift punch to the man's gut which brought the man to the floor. Right, well the reason you are here Naruto is that we need you back here in the village as Orochimaru plans on attacking the village and Tsunade started. And what you two decided that this pathetic village couldn't handle itself without the dead last, or maybe its former Jinchuriki, Naruto said, narrowing his eyes at the woman he once considered a surrogate mother. Tsunade and Jiraiya cringed at his words but were confused at the last part. Wait, what do you mean, former Jinchuriki? Tsunade asked. Exactly that, I no longer hold the Kikbi, or as I call her Asuna, which is her name. You see, she wasn't as evil as you think, in fact she was being controlled the night of my birth and it was all because of a fucking Uchiha and his disgusting cheap fucking eyes. Naruto then told the two exactly what happened that night 15 years ago. Now if you'll excuse me, he said as he swiped blood on his palm and performed a few hand seals, then slammed his hand on the ground. Kuchi's no jutsu summoning technique, and with that an old looking toad appeared in front of Naruto. Ah Naruto boyo, how are you my lad? Fukasaku the toad elder asked Naruto. You see, Naruto knew all of the toads of the summoning contract as he met them all while he was doing his training for the Chunin exams. Hello Fukasaku-sama, I'm okay, unfortunately I'm summoning you in order to cancel my contract with the toads, as so long as your clan is allied with Konoha, I can no longer summon you, as I have no allegiance with this village, seeing as they no longer want me, and I no longer want anything to do with them, as long as I can help it, Naruto told the toad elder, while bowing to the toad shocking Tsunade and Jiraiya with his respectful manner. Well, I'm sorry to hear about that, Naruto my boy. Gamakichi and Gamatatsu will miss you much, as will the rest of us. Can I ask why you no longer hold allegiance with Konoha? Fukasaku asked the boy. Of course, Fukasaku-sama, I can no longer live in a village that spits on the memory of my parents, Naruto said as he glared at the Sannin. Fukasaku was shocked at this but nodded his head. However, Fukasaku-sama, I don't want you to forsake Konoha for my sake. The village needs protection. Still again the Toad Elder nodded his head. His clan was sworn to the protection of the village since they had met with the Shadame Hokage when one of his ninjas summoned Fukasaku years ago. Hashirama Senju had asked the Toads to always protect the interests of Konoha and her people, and Konoha would always have the interests of the Toad clan in mind as well. And Fukasaku intended to keep his promise to a man he respected more than anyone. Fair enough, my boyo. I hope you find a good life somewhere else, okay, the Toad Elder said. Of course, Fukasaku-sama, Naruto said as he bowed to the Toad Elder once more. Fukasaku then vanished in a puff of smoke as he returned to Mount Mamboku. Now if you two don't mind, I need to get back home as I have a girlfriend waiting for me, Naruto said as he walked out the door and headed outside. Iruf jumped across the village faster than everyone after taking of his resistance and gravity seals. However, once he got to the gate he was met by a sight he wished he would never have to see again. Orochimaru. Kukuku, we meet again, Naruto-kun. My spies have told me some very interesting things about you and Konoha recently, and I must repay you from keeping dear Sasuke-kun away from me, he said with a smirk on his face. The FFT, whatever Petamaru, even though I no longer hold anything against you, seeing as Konoha has showed me exactly what they think of me, I can't let you simply kill everyone, as there are 3 people that would hold it against me if I let you do whatever you want, Naruto said as he got into a fighting stance while unsealing his fusion swords, which he always had on him, and a seal on his left wrist. The fusion swords were actually 6 swords Naruto made himself, not something he got with the Platinum Galaxy Crystal. The 6 swords consisted of a large dual-edged blade that opened up and closed so as to allow the others to combine with it. It had a red handle with a large rectangular hilt. The next sword was a hollowed-out sword in the shape of V. This connected to the bottom of the first sword, and the next 2 were 2 identical swords with serrated blades. The last 2 were identical short swords. Kukuku, you don't honestly think you can take me, Naruto-kun? Sure, you look different from when we last met, but that doesn't change anything now, Orochimaru chuckled, thinking he had the upper hand here. Well, he be team, a ninja's best skill is deception, Naruto said, smirking fiercely. Orochimaru was shocked at this. Has he been holding back all along, and if so, how strong is he though? No matter, Kabuto, take care of him. The rest of you attack the village. I think I shall prepare a nice treat for both Naruto and the Leaf Village, Orochimaru said, knocking out 2 of his men, a man and a woman, and placing them into 2 wooden coffins. He summoned the coffins then disappeared. I'm sorry, Naruto, but I can't let you get in the way of Orochimaru-sama's plan for the leaf, Kabuto said, smirking as he charged up his chakra scalpels. Safe it, aspired. We both know you don't mean that lock of crap of an apology, you just tried to feed me, Naruto said. Well, when you're right, Naruto, Kabuto said, charging with a kunai in hand, thinking it would be preferential against Naruto's swords. Naruto then took of one of the daggers from the bigger sword and parried Kabuto's attack. And thus began a deadly dance of blades and dodges as both continued to try to outdo the other. However, when Kabuto jumped back to try and do a jutsu, he failed and underestimated Naruto's speed as Naruto disappeared in a flash of yellow and teleported behind Kabuto as he placed a seal on him during their deadly dance of blades. Naruto took the moment of Kabuto's shock and beheaded him quickly and made a beeline dash to Orochimaru, who had finished his string of hand seals for his jutsu. Now Naruto witnessed the jutsu that killed the Sandaime Hokage, Orochimaru said, and these 2 will make sure the leaf and you especially are destroyed, he finished chuckling evilly. Kuchius. Ito Tensei summoning impure world reincarnation, Orochimaru said as 2 coffins rose from the ground. The names on the coffins made Naruto's body stiffen as he waited for the boxes to open. As they did, out stood the 2 people Naruto hoped to meet one day, but not like this, because staring at him was his parents Minato and Kushina Namikaze. Hello, Sachi, Kushina said with a sad smile on her face. You know, Naruto, I always wanted to meet you, but I never thought it would be like this. Orochimaru, you truly are a twisted person, Minato said, a scowl on his face when looking towards the snake man. Now Minato, Kushina, you 2 are going to help. No you don't, you fucking waste of life. I'm going to make sure you suffer every last minute of your pathetic life. You snake bastard. Naruto cut him off, throwing a Hiraishin kunai behind his parents and flashed in front of Orochimaru. He seamlessly summoned 2 clones while engaging Orochimaru. Naruto drove the snake bastard into the forest, slashing and aiming for dismemberment, mainly his legs. Orochimaru was dodging and ducking as Naruto was trying to cleave him in two, however he made a mistake in trying to take out his Kusanagi as Naruto took his legs off. Naruto then placed a seal tag on Orochimaru's sealing of his chakra. Now Orochimaru, I was going to just kill you, however, after trying to use my parents against me, I think I'm going to enjoy killing you. Oh, and Asuna aka the Kikbi no Kitsune says hi, Naruto said, smirking fiercely. Meanwhile with the clones, as Naruto was having his showdown with the snake, his clones was finishing seals he had completed when he found the Uzumaki sealing scrolls left for him. The two clones went over to Kushina and Minato, and the two clones checked over the seals to make sure there wasn't anything wrong with them. Sachi, what are you doing? What are those seals for?" Kushina asked, amazed her son was so adept at sealing, but it shouldn't really be a surprise as he is in Uzumaki and the art runs in his plan. "Well, boss, found these in the scrolls left to him by you and found incomplete ones from Mito-sama. You see, Tobirama-sama created the Edo Tensei, and Mito-sama was trying to find a seal to go with it. However, just as they were about to finish it, they stopped as the moral grounds they were breaking with their plans were too great. However, when I was younger, I finished these seals after reading the scrolls as I found the missing parts. I was actually going to steal the forbidden scroll of seals to learn the Edo Tensei and actually try this myself. However, I knew you would be disappointed in me if I did, so I abandoned it much. However, I kept the notes as a just in case, and I'm glad I did," the clone said, shocking Minato and Kushina. "Why would you try that?" Naruto Minato asked, also shocked and amazed by his son's skill in the sealing arts. "We leave that to the boss to tell you, he won't be much longer, but we need to hurry this if this is to succeed," the second clone said as they applied the seal onto Minato and Kushina. Uzumaki Kenjutsu. Shin no Fukatsu Uzumaki sealing technique. True resurrection Fuin, the clone said as they applied the seals. When they did, black lines and arrays appeared on Minato and Kushina and the two started to feel something, wait something, but that would mean. That though would have to wait as the dust that covered the two blew away as the air was forced into their lungs as they gasped as if they just resurfaced from diving into a pool. Then the two then felt their blood flow through their bodies and their hearts beat as they should, they also felt warm. "Sachi, what did those seals do?" Kushina finally said after catching her breath. "Well, K-chan," the real Naruto said as he walked out of the forests dragging a beheaded Orochimaru with him. Just as the two clones poofed away, the Shin no Fukatsu Fukin uses nature chakra to convert to yin-yang chakra to create proper bodies from the materials in the sacrifices as well as anchor your souls to your bodies so as to truly resurrect you rather than what that inhuman technique does. Naruto explained, "It was the way to convert nature chakra into the yin and yang chakra necessary for the creation of the new bodies that Mito-sama had trouble figuring out, but I managed to get that part with some help from Asuna Koi," Naruto said, smiling. "Like the clone said, I once planned on using the Edo Tensei myself at one stage, but I knew I couldn't sacrifice someone just to bring you back. Plus I knew Tusan wouldn't be able to be summoned seeing as he has in the Shinigami's stomach because he used the Shikifujin dead demon consuming seal, so I figured might as well try it, seeing as Orochimaru was so kind as to summon you for me." Naruto finished. He then embraced his parents in a hug, shedding tears he thought dried up years ago after first discovering who his parents were. His parents had no problem returning the embrace with Kushina crying herself as she was finally able to hold her son again. When they broke the hug, they finally looked at Naruto. Currently Naruto was in a pair of denim jeans with black Converse high tops and a black t-shirt. His hair was exactly like Minato's and Naruto had the same shade of blue as his father, however his eyes were shaped like his mother's. They noticed he hadn't a headband on his person whatsoever. "So Naruto, how old are you now?" Minato asked. "I'm 15 now too," Naruto said, smiling. "Wow, 15, so you must be a Chunin, right?" Minato asked. Himself and Kushina were shocked when Naruto scowled. "What's wrong, Sachi, are you still a genin?" Kushina asked. "No, K-chan, my life hasn't exactly been nice in that village," Naruto said, the word village dripping with venom. "Why, what happened?" both of parents asked. "How about I show you, Ninpo? Memori no Himeji ninja art. Memory viewing technique," Naruto said, touching his hands to his parents' foreheads. In a couple of seconds the two were shown Naruto's life in the Leaf Village. The beatings, the attacks, Naruto meeting Asuna, Kakashi neglecting him, Jiraiya's actions upon meeting Naruto and his further outlook on training the boy, and then the banishment and everything that happened then. But things began to look up as Naruto met Pluto, and then learning about his past life, and his sister Usagi and all about the Moon Kingdom, and then his adventures in Japan. Naruto, however, kept the memory of him and Asuna being intimate private as they were meant to be. When the jutsu was finished, Minato and Kushina was leaking killer intent like no tomorrow. In fact, it was what brought Jiraiya and Tsunade, Kakashi and a few stunned Anbu, who all looked like shit considering they just fought off Orochimaru's small army. When they came across the side of Minato and Kushina, the killer intent only increased when the blonde and Reed looked at the others. Minato, Kushina H, how you're supposed to be dead?" Jiraiya said, shock clearly evident in his voice. "Yes, we are supposed to be dead, Sensei," Minato replied, the last word said with disdain and anger shown strongly. "However, Orochimaru tried summoning us with the Edo Tensei, however Naruto engaged him, well, he had two clones perform an amazing sealing technique that properly resurrected us. He then told a sensei about his life when we started talking and the subject came up. "How dare you outtreat my son the way you did, you low-life piece of scum," Kushina said glaring at the man. "And how dare you ask what you did of my son when you first met, I should castrate you right now." Jiraiya, now paler than Orochimaru from her threats. Minato and Kushina then proceeded to tear each and every one of them a new one. As this was happening, Naruto was using his watch to try and contact Sailor Pluto. "Satsuna Oba-chan, come in, can you hear me?" he said into his watch using the crystal's power to contact his surrogate aunt. It took a while, but Satsuna replied. "Hello Ikshi, is everything okay?" she asked, worry clear in her voice. She knew her prince wouldn't call her unless he needed her for something serious, as he normally could handle himself quite well. "No Ob-chan, I was reverse summoned back to Konoha and I need to get back to Asuna and the others, I can't stand to be in this village any longer," Naruto said. "Okay Ikshi, I'm on my way," Satsuna said as the connection was lost. Naruto then turned back towards everyone else just to find his parents throw their headbands onto the ground. "To be honest, I expected the villager to act as they did, however I never expected you two, his own godparents, to treat him like you did. Myself and Kushina trusted Naruto to you too, and you went and spat on our graves. If I see you people again it will be too soon, let's leave Koichi," Musuko Minato said, turning away from the village. "Right behind you, Minakoi. So Naruto, will we be going to see the others soon?" Kushina said, turning to Naruto as they walked out of the village. "Satsuna Oba-chan is on her way, so we should be able to go any minute now," Naruto said, and as he did, a column of light appeared from the sky and the figure of Satsuna appeared from it. "Greetings Minato and Kushina Namikaze, I am Sailor Pluto, guardian of the gates of time and space and protector of the prince and princess of the Moon Kingdom," Satsuna said as she bowed. "Hello Satsuna-san, is there a way for you to take us to Naruto's new home?" Minato asked, bowing as well. "Of course, it shouldn't take us long to get there," Satsuna said, chuckling at her own joke. "Seriously Oba-chan," Naruto deadpanned. Satsuna just poked her tongue out childishly. "Spoil my fun, why don't you?" she replied. And with that she used her staff to conjure up another door, opening it they walked through it, appearing in the same field Naruto and Asuna first found themselves in not too long ago. "Here we are, home again my prince, and Minato and Kushina, please enjoy your new lives with your son in this bright new world," Satsuna said as they finished stepped out of the door. "Thanks Satsuna-san, and we intend to," Kushina said, bowing to the other women. After saying her goodbyes to her prince, Pluto went back to wherever it is she goes while guarding the gates of time and space. When she was gone, the reunited family took note of their surroundings. It looked to be a little over 3 hours since Naruto first left this world. "So Sachi, where do we go from here?" Kushina asked her son, looking towards him. "Well, we need to get back to my home to let Asuna-chan know I'm back and we'll take it from there." "Tusan, can you sense my seal I left in my apartment?" Naruto said, turning towards his father when asking his question. Minato stretched out his senses and did feel the pull Naruto's seal he left in the hallway of the apartment. "Yes I do. By the way Naruto, how long did it take you to master the Hiraishin?" Minato said. "Well, considering the amount of detail you took in recording it in the jutsu scroll you left me and the time it took with shadow clones to learn Fukinjutsu, it took me a month to master it," Naruto said with a smile on his face, proud of his own accomplishment. "Amazing, how about me Nikoi, let's leave the questions until we get to the apartment, okay?" Kushina interrupted in a sickeningly sweet voice that sent a shiver down both Minato's and Naruto's spines. "Now shall we boys?" "Yes dear K-chan," said boys replied. Minato took hold of Kushina and the three of them vanished in a flash of yellow. With Asuna, after Naruto was reverse summoned, Asuna went home to await for her mate's return. She first watched and caught up on all her soap operas. Hey, it's not her fault, she's a glutton for a good romance drama. Anyway, after 2 hours, she caught up on all her soap operas, so she went for a nice bath in the deluxe tub they had in the master bedroom. This took half an hour, so she figured she might as well get dinner started. It was when she went to get the ingredients ready when Naruto returned. "Dodama Asuna-chan," he said, stepping in from the hallway, "I brought some guests with me. The Kari Nasai Narukoi." I was just about to start dinner would she started, however she trailed off in shock when she spotted Naruto's parents. Hello there," she said, bowing meekly, not forgetting the last time she saw the two. "Hello Asuna-chan, it's nice to finally meet the real you, and thank you for all you have done for Naruto," Kushina said, bowing as well. "It was no problem Kushina-san, Naruto helped me as much as I helped him. I also wish to apologize for my actions on that night so long ago," she said, bowing again, tears forming in her eyes. "There's no need for that Asuna, we know it wasn't your fault and you have more than redeemed yourself by your actions in our opinions. We however regret our sacrifices were not honored by our village, but that is all in the past. This new world promises a new life for our family and I for one would like to get to know my daughter-in-law a lot better," Minato answered this time. Blushes then appeared on Naruto and Asuna's faces having been called on their bond. "What do you mean by that Minakoi?" Kushina asked her husband, wondering why he referred to Asuna as such. Well, taking into account that the two have been living together for more or less the past 15 years and how they addressed each other when we returned, I would deduce that our son is in a relationship with a young lady and the two of them have intentions to bond together in matrimony if they have not already, Minato said, somehow taking a pipe out of nowhere whilst talking in a British accent. Naruto, Kushina and Asuna all sweat dropped at this. However, Minato and Kushina did not the blush on the two teenagers' faces when Minato said the part of if not already. Ah, okay then, so Naruto, when can we expect grandbaby's Tebane? Kushina said with a glint in her eye. The blush on the teenagers' faces returned with a vengeance. Ah-chan, they both yelled. Aha, so you are married, called it, Minato said, pumping his fist in the air. It took some time for the situation to calm down before Asuna and Naruto were ready to answer Kushina and Minato's questioning glances. Well, we're not married, not according to the laws of this world or the elemental countries, however we are mated, which is as good as married in Kitsune law. Naruto explained as he took off his shirt and turned around to show them the mate mark on his back. As you can see, this mark signifies that Asuna and I are mated for life as Kitsune do, and to us for now that is good enough to Bayo, he finished as he put back on his shirt, his eye twitching at his use of his verbal tick he had used when using his mask. Well, so long as you are both happy then we're good with that, right dear, Kushina replied. Minato nodded his head showing he agreed. Thank you, the two teens replied. So what's for dinner, Koham? Naruto asked, himself and Asuna heading into the kitchen. I was about to make fettuccine alfredo for two, but give me hand it, we can make it for four, Asuna replied. With that, the two teenagers prepared dinner for the four of them. When it was finished, Asuna and Naruto took the main dish and 4 plates out into the diner and called Minato and Kushina to eat. What's that you cook, Sachi? It smells nice, Kushina commented, smelling the spices. Well, K-chan, this is fettuccine alfredo topped with chicken. It's a dish originating in a country called Italy, and they have a lot of interesting recipes in this world, Naruto answered. Well, what can you tell of this world, Naruto? Minato asked. Well, Naruto started, and as they ate together for the first time as a family, Naruto told his parents all about Earth and its customs. He told them about how much larger it was than the elemental countries and how cultures completely change from country to country. He told them how the country they are currently in was called Japan, a country with culture exactly like their world. The language is the same, however the culture is more modern, whereas the elemental countries is about 200 years behind in terms of governments and architecture. The conversation then took a turn towards current affairs and Naruto's fight with the Senshi against Queen Beryl in the Negaverse. He told them how Beryl plans on reviving Medalia and how he and the Senshi are trying to stop her and retrieve Mamoru. So Sachi, what was the Moon Kingdom like? Kushina asked, wanting to know about her son's past life. Naruto then told her about the Moon Kingdom, about how beautiful the architecture was and how everyone enjoyed the peace the kingdom prospered under. He also told his mother and father of the queen and his sister Serenity. So Naruto, do you plan on helping the girls train? I mean, what you told us of their fight so far, they seem to luck out most of the time, Minato said once Naruto finished. Yeah, I did plan on training their Taijutsu and train Usagi and Minako in Kenjutsu, seeing as they had swords in their previous life, Naruto replied. Well, I can help you in the Kenjutsu training. We Uzumakas are the best in Kenjutsu after all, Kushina said, puffing out her chest in pride. I can help as well, Asuna said. My parents taught me some of the Kenjutsu they knew from before the Rikiden Senin. At this, they all turned towards Asuna with the unasked question of how. What? I'm a Kitsune, remember, she answered. My parents lived before the start of the age of ninja, so they knew a lot of the stuff they used from that time, and most of it was Kenjutsu or Bushido, the way of samurai. Awesome. Also, I remember my fencing knowledge from my previous life, which I believe they should also remember as well, so we can go over that as well. Naruto said, how about you too, Chan, do you know many Taijutsu styles? He asked, turning towards his father. Well, I know I left a few styles in the Namikaze archives. You did save those, right? Minato replied. Of course, okay, so we can go over those with the girls tomorrow at the shrine. Naruto answered. With dinner finished, Asuna and surprisingly Kushina tidied up the plates and brought them into the kitchen. Naruto and Minato went into the living room to watch TV and talk some more. So Two-chan, now you're no longer a shinobi, what do you plan on doing in terms of a job? Naruto asked. Well, believe it or not, Mitsuko, but I wanted once to write a book myself, Minato said. You see, it was when your mother and I first started our lives together as a married couple that I was reading a book by Jiraiya called Tale of a Gutsy Ninja. In fact, it was where I got your name, as Naruto was the name of the title character. Jiraiya said he came up with it while eating ramen. However, I took it as meaning maelstrom, not Narutomaki or fish cake. Naruto nodded at this. He never liked the fact that people would make that mistake. So what made you want to write a book of your own? Naruto asked his father. Well, as much as your godfather, as he was chosen seeing as he did come up with your name, was a pervert, I really enjoyed his first book. I never did like the fact he started writing those god-awful smut books after his first book, and it was that dislike that I thought it might not be such a bad idea to write one myself, and they always say everyone has at least one book in them. Minato said. Well, I think you should go for it too, Chan, you never know unless you try, right? Naruto replied. You have me there, Sachi, you know what? I will give it a shot, Minato said. Give what a shot, Kibito? Kushina asked as she and Asuna entered the living room. I was thinking of writing a book, Kushi-chan, maybe like a detective book or something like that, Minato replied, sheepishly rubbing the back of his neck. Sounds like a plan, seeing as we no longer have to worry about ninja and the like. Kushina said. She then turned to Naruto. But what about income? I'm sure the bills on this apartment are expensive, Sachi. Well, when I first arrived here I took all the money I earned and saved during my brief career as a shinobi, and also the money you and Tu-chan left to me as inheritance. When I asked the local back to get it appraised, it turned out to be a fortune, so we will be grand for the time being. What about you, Kei-chan? What will you do in your spare time now? Naruto said and asked his mother. I'm not too sure, I'll find something to keep me occupied, Kushina said. It looks like I need to catch up my Fukinjutsu, seeing as you were able to complete a seal developed by Mito-sama, and I wasn't, she added, grinning towards her son. Well, I did use shadow clones to help me train in everything except physical training. Naruto said, mimicking his father's earlier act of neck rubbing sheepishly. The family continued to talk, Minato and Kushina showing a large interest in getting to know their son and daughter-in-law. They were glad and, ironically enough, grateful towards Orochimaru for using the Ito Tensei. After a while they realized it was getting late, so Naruto and Asuna showed their parents to the guest bedroom while they retired to their room. Minato and Kushina went to sleep for the first time in their lives, not having to worry about what tomorrow may bring. And done. Story begin. Naruto woke up the next morning to an empty bed. He looked over to the alarm clock on Asuna's side of the bed, which read 9 o'clock. Well, guess is as good a time to wake up as any, he thought to himself. Yawning and stretching, Naruto rolled out of bed and pulled on his PJ bottoms and headed towards the kitchen for some breakfast. As soon as he opened the door to his and Asuna's room, his nose was assaulted by the smell of bacon, eggs and buttery toast. He also smelt a rich scent of coffee and tea. Heading into the kitchen, he was found his parents sitting at the table and his mate working the stove. Hey you guys, he said, walking in. He went over to the cupboard and got out a mug. He then filled it with coffee to start his day. As he was doing this, he completely missed the looks he got as his parents and mate looked at him with mixed looks, look of lust from Asuna and of surprise from his parents. He saw them though as soon as he sat down. What? Is there something on my face? Naruto asked. Well, not on your face per se. Did you not notice anything different this morning, son? Minato replied, looking slightly amused. What's that supposed to mean? Naruto asked, still confused. Look behind you on your butt, Kibito, Asuna said, suppressing a giggle. Okay, Naruto said, looking behind him. I don't see why I would have to lure those foxtails, Naruto said when he found 3 golden furred foxtails with white tips. Yes, you also got 2 fox ears on your head now, Asuna replied, showing him them in a mirror she had, and sure enough there was 2 golden fox ears on his head. He was missing his human ears as well. You know, to be honest, I should be surprised, but I'm honestly not. Is this because of the mate mark as well? Naruto said. Yep, you're now a kitsune, same as me, Asuna said with a beaming smile on her face. So why do I have 3 tails and not say 9? Don't I have as huge chakra as you do? Naruto said. Actually, I only have 3 tails myself, see, she said as she showed her fox traits, and there for all to see were 2 red furred foxtails with white tips. You see, kitsune only grow more tails as they become older. We get our second tail when we turn 100, even though I got mine when I turned 50. The only reason I had 9 tails was because of the power given to me by the Reconnecting, but seeing as I sealed that power into the watch, I only have my normal chakra, and as such I only have 3 tails. I think you have 3 tails because I'm a 3-tailed kitsune, and you are the first human turned into a kitsune, so I think because you had me sealed inside you had transferred some of the demon chakra to you, thus giving you more power. I honestly don't know, Naruto, but that's not important, Asuna explained. Oh, alright then, so how do I shapeshift now? Naruto asked. Just picture what you want to transform into, and you will much like the transformation jutsu, Asuna replied. Alright, Naruto said, doing exactly that, and as soon as he did the tails disappeared, and so did the ears, his human ears returning. Kushina pouted as she wanted to take a picture of them with their fox features on. So any significant changes besides the fox features? Naruto asked, curious about what other changes. Nope, just that you are now a kitsune. Unlike the Bijk, our tails only show our age rather than power. I mean, age and experience can be seen as power, but still, an 8-tailed kitsune could be stronger than a 9-tailed one physically, but the 9-tailed would have more wisdom and experience, Asuna explained. Although we do have enhanced senses and denser chakra, but because you're in Uzumaki you already had dense chakra, and we can use our chakra more efficiently, she finished. Cool, okay, so what's the plan for today? Naruto asked, turning to them as a whole. Well, aren't supposed to help train your sister and her friends, son? Minato asked. Oh yeah, hehe, he said, rubbing the back of his neck sheepishly. Just like your father, Kushina muttered, rubbing her temples. Okay, so we train the girls, what else? Naruto said, regaining his semi-serious thinking pose. Well, I can take your parents around the city. Also, I think Mama and Papa should learn how to drive a car, Asuna said. Minato was touched. Asuna called him Papa. She was his daughter-in-law now, so he didn't mind it at all. Kushina squealed in her head. She had a daughter-in-law and had the same hair as her. Oh, my grandbabies are going to be the cutest ever, Tebane, she thought to herself. Wait, you mean those things they had in Snow Country? Minato asked, remembering once about the machines they had there. Hinda, those were trucks. Cars are smaller and can carry less people. Naruto replied. Plus, seeing as we can't really be jumping across roofs anymore, as people won't be too psyched about that, they're really handy to have, to get you from place to place, he added. What about yourself and Naruto? How come you two haven't learned how to drive? Kushina asked. Well, the legal driving age in Japan is 18, we're only 15, so we'll have to wait a few years. Naruto explained. Alright, Kushi-chan, I think we should see into this, who knows, it could be fun, and we'll need to find ways to better fit in with this world, Minato said. Speaking of fitting in, you guys need to get new clothes, Asuna said, almost forgetting. Good idea, Asuna-chan, I forgot we only have the clothes on our backs, Kushina said. Although a tomboy, that doesn't mean Kushina never enjoyed the occasional shopping trip. Asuna grew a predatory grin on her face. Son, why do I get a bad feeling about this? Minato said, looking towards his son. Because Dad, we are doomed, Naruto said, falling to his knees and hands on the ground, a rain cloud somehow appearing over him. It can't be that bad, can it? Minato asked, sweat dropping at Naruto's overdramaticness. He was suddenly caught by the collar. You don't get it, in this world there are so many more stores for just about everything you can think of. At least back in Konoha we only had 2 stores for civilian and ninja clothing. Here they have a huge building called a mall, with like several different clothing stores, and then the shoes. Okami, the shoes, Naruto said while shaking his father, and with that Minato paled. Okami, we are doomed, he said, crying and I'm tears. After realizing their impending doom, the 2 blondes tried to make a run for it, only to be caught by their respective redhead and dragged out of the apartment. Meanwhile, back in Konoha, Jiraiya had just summoned the Toad Elder Fukasaku, as he wanted to try and get his student and his, Minato's family, back to Konoha. However, when he told them, the Toads were shocked. They had no idea that Minato and Kushina were alive again. So Fukasaku-sama, is it possible to summon them back here? Tsunade pleaded to the Toad Elder. I'm afraid not, Tsunade-chan. Naruto Boyo cancelled his contract with us, and Minato Boyo was dead, which cancelled his contract with us as well. The only way to have him back on the contract would be for him to summon us, and even still I don't think I would summon them back, especially after what Naruto Boyo said about what happened. Fukasaku said. Nani, but this is their home, they belong here, Tsunade said, becoming frantic. Are you sure about that, as I believe Naruto was banished from his home and you two did nothing about it? Care to explain? Fukasaku said. We could do nothing about it, the council said, Tsunade started to say but was interrupted by Fukasaku. What about the council? I thought this was a dictatorship with the Hokage as the undisputed leader. The council is only to advise, not to make decisions themselves. Your grandfather would surely be disappointed in you, Tsune-chan, and Mito would be outraged about poor Naruto Boyo. Fukasaku said. Now we still have our contract with Jiraiya. And I did promise Hashirama Boyo the Toads would protect Konoha. However, we will not attempt to bring back Minato Boyo, Naruto Boyo or Kushina-chan. End of story, he finished, as he disappeared in a puff of smoke. The 2 remaining Sannin broke down and cried at their stupidity, as it cost them, for Jiraiya his students, one of which was his godson, and for Tsunade, her friend and adopted brother's son. And they had no one to blame but themselves. But Usagi and the girls today decided to hit them all. Why? You ask. Well, it was the weekend, and they didn't need to worry about school for a week, and they felt a shopping spree was in order, or at least Minako and Usagi did. They were heading to the food court when they spotted Naruto and an older blonde both carrying bags, and Asuna and an older redhead leading them around the mall. Asuna-chan, Nai-chan over here, Usagi said, waving to them as the girls walked over to them. He Usagi-chan, girls, Asuna said, spotting the younger girls. He Imto, Naruto mumbled behind the bags. Oh, by the way, girls, meet my mother and father Minato and Kushina Namikaze, he added. Hello girls, Naruto has told me and me Nikoi a lot about you, Kushina said, smiling warmly. The girls, however, were making very good impressions of Fish. However, it was Usagi who voiced their concern. How? Naruto told us you had died the night he was born, she said with tears in her eyes. Well, you see, I was sent back to my old world yesterday after the incident with those ice skaters. You see, my godfather decided it was a good idea to have me reverse summoned back to my old village, as they needed their oh so precious weapon back to defend them. However, I cancelled my contract with the Toads, and I was walking back to the place I escaped that world. However, I faced an enemy by the name Orochimaru. He tried to kill me by reviving my parents as mere puppets. However, I had a sealing technique that allowed them to be truly resurrected. And then I brought us here, Naruto said, putting the bags down. He then summoned a number of clones, all in a different disguise. Alright boys, I need you to take this stuff home. Got it? Naruto ordered the clones, each under a different hinge. Sir, yes sir, the clones saluted, taking a number of the bags off of Naruto and Minato. They then went to a secluded place and then proceeded to Hiraishine number back to the apartment. Good idea son, Minato said, patting his son on the back. Yeah, I wish I thought of it sooner, my arms were starting to kill me, Naruto said, grinning while scratching his cheek. So what brings you girls here? Well, seeing as it's the weekend Mina and I thought it would be nice to go shopping. Usagi said. What about you guys? My parents needed clothes, Naruto said. However, seeing as you here, I have a proposition for you girls, he added, remembering it. What is it? Makoto said. We'd like to train you girls. What I've seen of your fighting skills so far is barely Genin level, and Genin is only graduate at best, although Makoto you have about mid-Chunin Taijutsu, however you girls could do with some proper training, and we'd be more than happy to help you if you accept, Asuna answered for Naruto. I don't mind, as long as we get to spar, Makoto replied, looking towards Naruto. She'd been wanting to spar with him for a while now, after watching him fight against both Endymion and Malachite. Well, I think it could do some good, Rei said. She was embarrassed by her performance lately and needed an excuse to improve. Will we be able to see some of that Kenjutsu you told us about, and it sounds very interesting, Ami said. She had been wanting to read up on it, especially seeing as Rei has used something similar in the past. When do we start? Usagi said. She was depressed that she was unable to help her love Endymion or Mamoru. If she gets stronger, not only will she be able to save him, but also not have to rely on everyone to bail her out. Good, alright girls, if you can meet us in the forest behind the shrine every day around 5 in the morning before school, the 4 of us will start your training, Naruto replied. Is that fair? He asked. They all replied positively by nodding their heads. Alright, then we need to visit a couple of more places, and then we're going to head home. See you girls tomorrow morning, Asuna said, pushing Naruto forward, with Kushina following, dragging Minato behind her with tears in his eyes. The Namikazes left the mall and went to get Minato and Kushina set up with driving lessons. With all their objectives done for the day, the family returned home and readied themselves for the training tomorrow morning. The next morning, walking into an open area in the forest behind Rei's shrine, the Namikazes found the girls in the field looking completely wrecked. Morning girls, the 4 said, gaining grunts and whines in reply. The girls were regretting this. Alright girls, we're going to start off with warm-ups. I want 50 laps around this opening, followed with 50 sit-ups, 50 squats and 50 push-ups. Get moving, Kushina said. Being a kunoichi, she knew the best way to get these girls into shape. Naruto and Minato would be the ones to train them in Taijutsu. Kushina and Asuna would be working on their agility and evasion reflexes. After the girls completed their workouts, Minato and Naruto called them over. Giving the girls bottles of water to cool them down, Naruto then explained what he and his father were going to do. Naruto then created 3 shadow clones. Alright girls, we're going to spar, nice and easy today, so what we want is for you to attack us, and we'll defend. What we're doing is seeing where you're going wrong with your style and improve on it, maybe even giving you a new style that suits you better. Naruto explained. This is going to be fun, she thought while grinning. Naruto, when he first got here, researched all the different fighting styles this world had. He was surprised as it had more styles than his world did. After studying them all thanks to shadow clones, he was confident in saying he was proficient in them. So with that in mind, he and his father and clones had the girls attack them. The only one that had any style was Makoto. She was using karate and was very good. Naruto would rank her around the Yonkuk to Gakukar 4th to 5th rank. Seeing as she was already proficient enough in the style, Naruto would just help her progress in it. The other girls were not as good, however. Rei knew a little hand-to-hand, but the other 3 girls had no style at all. It was clear that Usagi, Ami and Minako relied on their techniques. Alright girls, you can stop now. Naruto said. The girls complied and halted their attacks. Dad, your verdict, Naruto asked, looking towards his father. Well, I must say Makoto is very good. What was that style she was using? Minato replied. Karate, a fighting style created here in Japan, sorta like Gaizenkan Iron Fist, Naruto said. Oh, alright, now besides her Rei, I think it was Minato started. Rei nodded her head in recognition. She was good as well, she knew some Taijutsu, but not a lot. However, the best thing about her and the others is that they are blank canvases, so we can give them a style that suits them best. I would suggest something that relies on flexibility for Minako and Usagi, something defensive for Ami I think would be best for her, and maybe like our style for Rei, you know, something that relies on speed and precision. Minato finished. Right, okay then girls, here's what's going to happen. Rei, I'm going to teach you martial arts that are like the Manta style of Kung Fu. We'll be working on your speed and precision. This way you'll be quick and accurate. Makoto will be working on your karate. Usagi and Minako will be learning something like Tai Chi. This will work with your flexibility, and we'll also work on counters. Ami will be creating a new style. It'll be pure defensive, seeing as you have made yourself a support unit. With your analytical abilities and your long-range techniques, with this style, you'll at least be able to defend yourself if enemies get in close. Naruto outlined what was going to happen. For an hour 4 clones helped Makoto, Ami, Usagi and Minako on the katas of their specific style, the real Naruto, and Minato helped Rei with her style. After that the girls went over to Asuna and Kushina who had smiles on their faces. "So what are we going to be working on with you Kushina-san?" Asuna-chan Ami asked. "Reflexes and evasion," the two redheads chirped, they then unsealed a buttload of dodge balls. "Your objective is to dodge these balls as best you can, bit of a warning, though we will be enhancing our throws with chakra," Kushina said with a grin, much like her son would have before committing a prank. The girls all paled at that. For another hour the girls frantically dodged and evaded the balls hurtling towards them at high speeds. Mind you, it wasn't as hard as Tsunade would, but it still hurt when they hit home. After that they were told to do some stretches for a warm down or cool down, whichever. They were then led home to take their showers and got ready for school. This would be the schedule for the girls, and over the week they kept at it, always persevering. The results of this training were evident when the girls had to face a Nega monster and easily defeated it using their new skills. However, what they didn't know was that a Nega monster Ninjana. Naruto assassinated her, however, after removing her from Nancy Vargas, a local photojournalist. Also, while Naruto and Asuna were busy in school, Minato and Kushina had been busy learning all about Earth and her cultures. Of course they had a lot of help with shadow clones, however unlike Naruto and Asuna, they had each shadow clone dispel every 30 minutes rather than 10, and they could only create 20 max. Kushina could make 100, and that was pushing it with her Uzumaki reserves. By the midterm in February Minato and Kushina were licensed drivers. Well, Kushina had some trouble at the start, she drove like a lunatic at the start, both buying nice cars for themselves. Kushina went with a nice Toyota Land Cruiser, she really liked it and it had plenty of trunk space. Minato, however, imported a car. While they were studying about the different cultures, Minato became enchanted with the American cars, more specifically the muscle cars, so he imported himself a 1969 Chevy Camaro SS. It was candy apple red with two black stripes going along the body. It had a black soft top roof and manual gearbox. The V8 engine was supercharged, and Lord did that engine purr. Naruto loved it as well, although Naruto when the time came wanted a nice 1967 Chevy Impala SS, but he would have to wait a while for his license. Saturday afternoon, Naruto and Asuna were currently on a date in the mall. Kushina was busy learning her Fukinjutsu. She secretly wanted to somehow make herself and Minato kitsune as well, so with the help of Asuna they were busy with that. She was also learning to become a primary school teacher. When she was pregnant with Naruto, one of the things she couldn't wait to do was teach him everything she knew. Unfortunately that never came to be, and while herself and Minato were planning on giving Naruto siblings soon, she wanted something to do as a career. Thanks to her Uzumaki genes, Kushina easily became stir crazy, hence why Naruto used to behave hyperactive. It wasn't his fault, he just had too much energy to burn. Minato was busy working on his book. After studying about Earth, he came up with several ideas and began brainstorming them. So while his parents were busy, Naruto figured he'd bring Asuna out on a date. They were currently in the food court enjoying some lunch after some window shopping, although Naruto got himself some new video games for the rainy days. As they were enjoying some American cuisine, i.e. cheeseburgers and fries, they overheard a couple of girls talk about a natural hot spring resort located nearby in the mountains. They were supposed to be fantastic. "Huh, and hot spring, you know it's been a while since I've been to a nice one, what do you think?" Naruto said, turning towards his mate. "Sounds like a plan, it's been ages for me, and nothing beats a natural hot spring, those are the best," Asuna said, hugging herself. "Cool, we should tell mom and dad about it, I'm sure they would enjoy it somewhat as well," Naruto replied. "Anyway, where to next Koichi?" he asked. "How about a movie?" Asuna asked. "Sure, let me just send this stuff home with a clone," Naruto said as he was about to summon a clone. "Why not just store it in a scroll, it would be much easier," Asuna suggested. At this Naruto face palmed. "Thanks Koichi, I wish I thought of that before," he said as he unsealed his ink and brush and a scroll. He quickly drew up a large storage seal and sealed all the items. "The new Hobbit movie looks enjoyable," Asuna said. Asuna was a big fan of fantasy and sci-fi, ironic seeing as herself and Naruto are fables in Japanese culture. Yeah, Asuna loved romance films and the like, but she also liked a lot of other movies. Guys were more into like the action movies and the superhero movies, and most importantly the fantasy and sci-fi films. "It does look good, I hope they're still showing it," Naruto replied. Kami, he loved this woman. They went to the movie theater located in the mall, and thankfully enough they were showing the movie, so they went to go see it. Luckily they were able to get the back seat so they were able to cuddle while watching the movie. Back at home, Minato was currently working on his book. It was a mystery story. Basically, a Tokyo detective is sent to investigate disappearances on one of the islands, only to uncover a smuggling ring, and with the help of his partner and love interest who he rescued from the smuggling ring, the love interest not the partner. It was coming along nicely, especially after his shadow clones finished getting him and his family into official records as his son, as smart as he is, forgot about it. Basically what Minato did was send a couple of shadow clones to different official record-keeping establishments, such as the hospital and registry office, and put the clerks under a genjutsu while filling out all the necessary documents to make himself and his family legal, such as their birth certificates, which he happened to have only changed the place of birth to different local places, as in Kushina's marriage certificate. While they were out, his shadow clones overheard about a nice hot springs resort up in the mountains nearby. Finding the location of the resort, he planned on telling the others when they returned this evening. "I'm home," he heard his wife say as the door closed behind her. "Welcome back, Kushi-chan. Do you need help with the shopping?" Minato replied, walking towards her. "Yes, if you don't mind," she replied. Minato grabbed a couple of bags off of Kushina and helped put them away. After that, Minato and Kushina went to sit down on the couch and watch TV. They were interested in the many shows they had on TV in this world. Back in Konoha they only ever showed movies, and that was at the movie theater. It was at that point that the two teenagers walked in. "We're home," they said, walking through the door. "Welcome home, you two," Minato replied, smiling at the young couple. He was glad that Naruto found someone like he had. He just still couldn't believe it was the very person that Minato had sacrificed his life to seal inside of Naruto. However, Asuna was being controlled that night, and she repented, and Minato and Kushina had no issues with it, seeing as she helped Naruto growing up. "So how was the date?" Kushina said with a warm smile. She was happy for Naruto as well, although she hated that she missed the chance to spoil him rotten growing up. "I would have been an awesome mom too, Tebane," she thought to herself. "It was great, I got a couple of new outfits, and we went to see a movie." Asuna chirped, grinning like the vixen she is. "Oh, what did you see?" Minato asked, interested. "We saw the new Hobbit movie. It was okay, but I much preferred the book, to be honest," Naruto said. "Don't get him wrong, the film was amazing, but he didn't like the fact they added stuff to the movie that wasn't in the book, but that was Hollywood for you." "Oh really? I must read it then sometime," his father replied, taking a thinking pose. "Asuna and I are just going to go put our new stuff away. We'll be out in a few minutes," Naruto said as he and Asuna went into their room. Kushina then turned to her husband and surprised the hell out of him. "Minato, I want another baby," she said, which she really did. Poor Minato spit out the water he currently in his mouth. He then looked at his wife and knew she was serious. "Are you sure?" he asked, wanting to make sure. "Of course, I want another baby," she said with determination in her face. "And at least this time we won't have to worry about seals and secrecy and stuff. It'll be just a normal pregnancy. Ooh, I want it to be a girl this time." Tebane, Kushina said, exclaiming loudly the last part. "Alright Kushina, if that's what you want," Minato said, hugging his wife. He secretly also wanted to have a daughter after Naruto, a little girl he can spoil. "Oh, I forgot, I heard about this nice resort up in the mountains. It's got a natural hot springs. What do you say us and the two young lovebirds take a nice vacation next week when they get off for midterm?" he said, remembering about it. "Oh, that sounds wonderful, Tebane. I haven't been to a hot springs since that perverted bastard peeped on me in Konoha," Kushina said, getting excited despite recalling the escapades of a perverted idiot. "Cool, we were going to tell you about it as well. We heard some older girls talk about it at the mall," Naruto said as himself and Asuna returned from their room. "Then it's settled then. I also found out the area has a lot of history as well, which should be interesting," Minato said, smiling. Can he say Minato was mad about history? Can you blame him though? There was a lot of history in this world, a lot of it amazing. They had history older than the Reconnecting, and for Kami's sake, no one knew anything beyond his time in the elemental nations. But then again, no one cared as they were in wars and conflicts. "Sounds like a plan, Minakoi," Kushina said, grinning. "I'm with mom," Naruto said. "It would be nice to get away from the city for a while." Asuna said. "Oh Asuna, I forgot about the Kitsune contract, can I still sign it?" Naruto asked. "Of course Naru-kun, the fox summons are different from Kitsune, they are more like demon foxes, seeing as they are tougher than regular Kitsune, and they can only shape-shift into other animals and inanimate objects to hide themselves. Also they gain their tails as their power increases, unlike Kitsune, which as I said gain tails through age, experience and knowledge." Asuna said, "Here, let me summon one of the elders so we can get the contract," she said. Then performing the hand seals, she slammed her hand on the ground. Kuchiya's no jutsu summoning technique. The poof of smoke later revealed a nine-tailed fox the size of a Great Dane appear in the room. "Ah, Asuna-chan, it's so good to see again after so long," the fox said. "Hello again, Heihachi Jiji. How is the clan?" Asuna said, smiling at the fox. "Oh, the usual, it has been some time since you summoned any of us," Heihachi replied. "Well, I have been busy and I went into hiding as well," Asuna said. "So what can an old fox do for you today, Asuna-chan?" Heihachi asked. "Can my mate here Naruto Namikaze and his parents sign the scroll?" Asuna asked. "Oh, found yourself a mate, have you? Well, congratulations, little vixen, and if my senses are failing, I do believe this boy is very strong," Heihachi said, looking towards Naruto. "Thank you, sir," Naruto said, bowing to the elder fox. The fox then looked towards Minato and Kushina. "Well now, it's no surprise he's so strong. I do believe I have the pleasure of meeting Konoha's Kairoi Senk Manakai Chishio no Habanero." Heihachi said, bowing towards the two legendary ninja. The pleasure is ours, Heihachi-sama Minato said himself and Kushina bowing themselves. Please Heihachi is just fine, I'm not that old yet Heihachi said. Gigi you're 1,000 years old Asuna deadpanned. Oh Asuna-chan you wound me deeply, Heihachi said sitting on his rear legs while holding a paw to be where his heart is. Anyway, the Fox clan would be honored to have these three to sign our contract he said waving his tails and with a poof of smoke a large scroll, much like the one Jiraiya has, appeared. Minato took it first as he had a suspicion about something. Opening the scroll he found Asuna's name and two others, Asuna's parents he believed seeing as they all had the last name Kano. He then went through the procedure of signing his name and blood on the contract. Kushina went up next and signed her name, she signed it Kushina Namikaze and Naruto signed it last signing his full name. However when he did the scroll changed Asuna's name from Asuna Kano to Asuna Namikaze ni Kano. Hey why did Asuna's clan name change Naruto asked perplexed at the sight. It recognizes the bond you those share, because you are mates, it counts that as a marriage license would recognize the bond of matrimony, although being mates is so much more Heihachi said. Cool Naruto said. Will that be all you need today Heihachi asked. No Gigi that's everything Asuna replied. With that Heihachi went home in another poof of smoke. The family done with excitement for the day, returned to watching TV. A couple of days later, a week had passed and Kushina and Asuna had found something that would conclude their project. Reading the old Uzumaki scrolls they found a blood sealing ritual that would basically adopt someone into the clan however, because Naruto was a kitsune the ritual would work in reverse, basically adopting Minato and Kushina as his parents. More or less what the ritual would do would find the genetic markers that mark someone as parents and change them to match the one conducting the ritual, so if Naruto performed the ritual he would turn his parents into kitsune. So that is what they set out to do today, as Minato and Kushina would need to rest to complete the change. Mom, Dad, are you sure about this Naruto asked as he got ready to perform the ritual. Of course we're sure, I wanna see my baby boy rule the world and kick the crap out of some bad guys Tebane Kushina exclaimed in her signature pose. Of course I'm with your mother, we already died on you once, and we regret it, it hurts too you know. I mean when Orochimaru summoned me the last thing I remember was performing the Haki Shiki no Fukin, cursing you to the life you had, and next thing I knew you were in front of us all grown up. Naruto we promise we're not leaving you again, that's why we want to do this. Minato said tears in his eyes. Like Minato said, the last thing I remembered before being summoned was saying goodbye to my baby boy, thinking I would never see you again, then all of a sudden you're all grown up and married, Kushina said crying herself. Plus I think your mother just wants to have more kids just with those fox tails and ears too Minato said chuckling. Kushina blushed red. Aka, she muttered. Okay I get, let's do it then Naruto said, wiping the tears from his eyes and chuckling. Naruto and his parents then approached the sealing array they made on the floor, basically two identical constructs branched off of one in the middle. These were the arrays for the blood ritual. The three lied down on their respective area i.e. Naruto in the middle with his parents on either array. Okay Asuna, ready when you are Naruto said. Ready over here Minato said. Just get it over with Tebane Kushina exclaimed getting impatient. Alright then here we go Uzumaki Fukinjutsu. Kaisei no Gashiki blood adoption ritual Asuna said as she channeled chakra into the seal array surrounding Naruto. The seals then lit up as they did their awesome magic. However Naruto was grunting in pain as the seal burned as it extracted what it needed from him. Then Kushina and Minato then went through the same burning as it began to turn them into kitsune. With Naruto it happened during his sleep and took a while however that was speeding the process for his parents, seeing as it was forcing the DNA markers to be put in place for the change to take effect. What felt like hours for the three on the floor was only 15 minutes, after which left a barely conscious Naruto Fox features revealed and two passed out parents, Minato with 8 yellow tails with white tips and 2 yellow fox ears above his head, Kushina had 7 red fox tails with white tips and 2 red fox ears on her head, however both parents looked no older than 25, even though they were around 30 years old. Naruto then made a shadow clone and the two then brought his parents to their room to rest. What's the bet they end up doing it as soon as they wake up, Naruto said exiting the room. That's a sucker's bet and you know it, only Tsunade would take that bet Asuna said. Fair enough, Naruto said. The reason being just so you know is, because the change was forced their heat cycles were triggered Asuna said. Okay, I don't want to be rude Koishi, but let's get off the topic of my parents bumping uglies Naruto said. Okay, did you activate the silencing seals Asuna asked. Yeah I double checked them as well, Naruto replied. Okay then now let's get you to bed Kibito Asuna said, guiding an exhausted Naruto to bed. That weekend, as the two teens predicted, Minato and Kushina renewed their vows and quite passionately too. The parents asked why they looked young though when they exited their room, Asuna explained the kitsune never age past the age of 25, so they de-aged to 25. Other than that the two adults were thrilled their plan succeeded. Kushina made a spectacle of herself when she started petting her own tails, followed by petting Minato's while squealing. Minato hadn't seen her that red since they first started dating. After that scene, the two adults gained control over their shape-shifting ability to hide their features. After that, the Namikazes got ready for their trip, unaware that the Tsukino family were getting ready to head up to the same resort for a getaway themselves. The next day, Minato and Kushina were the first to wake up. Kushina got started on breakfast, while Minato read the paper while drinking his coffee. Naruto and Asuna were the last to wake up. Naruto was still tired, and Asuna's hair was ruffled and refused to straighten. "Rough night, kids?" Minato asked from behind his newspaper. The two teens blushed and only nodded their heads. "I hope you two are playing it safe, you two are still in school," Kushina asked them. "Mom," they yelled. "I'm just saying I don't mind grandbabies, just not until you're out of school," Kushina said, shrugging her shoulders. "Now eat up, we need to leave here before 12 in order to make it there before nightfall," she added, giving the teens their breakfast. Minato had put the paper down and started eating as well. Kushina of course was the last to sit down to eat. Breakfast was a quite affair, although Kushina and Minato asked how the teens were getting on in school. With breakfast over with, the family then got ready for their trip, the teens taking time for a shared shower to clean themselves. Then taking their bags, the family headed down to the garage, and Minato suggested the Camaro, as there was no need to take the Jeep, as they weren't taking much with them. Kushina agreed for the simple fact that she didn't want to drive, and she was intrigued about what was interesting about this type of car. Suffice to say, Kushina was surprised when the engine started with a deep growl. She then figured out her husband was onto something, maybe it was her tomboyish nature rearing its head again, but she liked the appeal the muscle car had. With another growl, the Camaro took off, exiting the garage and then heading towards their destination. Meanwhile, with the Tsukino family, Usagi was currently listening to the story of how her parents Kenji and Ikuko Tsukino met and fell in love, after which her mother told her to find a nice boy. Usagi was however distracted by the sounds coming from her younger brother Shingo's video game. However, when she yanked the device from his hands, her locket fell out of her coat pocket. "Oh no, my locket," she said, reaching for it and catching it as it fell. "Hey, did you get that from some boy?" Shingo asked. However, himself, Usagi and their mother had to brace themselves as the car suddenly swerved. "Locket? Boy, what's this I hear?" Usagi Kenji, her father, asked. "Boy? There's no boy, Dad, relax," she replied. "Yes dear, calm down, she probably got from Naruto." Gurio Kunakuko added. "Ah yes, Gurio, he's such a nice boy, you should date a boy like that," Usagi Kenji said, calming down. "As if, Dad," she muttered, deciding to look out the window of the car. Her thoughts drifted towards her love Mamoru. She hoped herself and the Senshi could rescue him soon, she wasn't sure her heart could take any more heartbreak. At the resort, when the Tsukino family entered the check-in area, they were surprised to see they weren't the only ones there. However, that no longer mattered to Usagi when she spotted familiar heads of blonde and redhead. "Naruto-kun, Asuna-chan, what are you doing here?" she asked, spotting her brother and his girlfriend. "Oh hi, Usagi-chan, we wanted to get away from the city for a while, and we heard the hot springs are supposed to be really great here," Asuna replied, answering for her mate. "More or less, so Usagi-chan, what brings you here?" Naruto asked his little sister. "Oh well, this is where my parents met, so they wanted to come back here and reminisce or something like that," Usagi replied. "Usagi, it's time to go check in now, dear." "Oh, who are the?" Usagi Ikuko asked. "Oh mom, these are my friends, Naruto and Asuna, they're here with Naruto's parents too," Usagi said. "Oh so well, it's nice to meet you, I'm Tsukino Ikuko, and this is my husband Kenji and our son Shingo, I'm guessing you met our daughter," Usagi Ikuko said. "It's a pleasure Ikuko, I'm Namikaze Kushina, and this is my husband Minato, and Usagi already introduced you to Naruto and Asuna," Kushina said. "Pleasure is ours," Ikuko replied. "So Usagi, is this the boy you have your mind set on?" Kenji said, almost eyeing Naruto up. "Actually daddy is already taken, Asuna is his girlfriend," Usagi explained. "Oh okay then, I apologize then," Kenji said. "No problem," Naruto waved it off. "Alright you two, let's go find our rooms," Minato said, passing Naruto his room key. "Yeah, see you later Usagi," Naruto said. Asuna waved her goodbye as well. With that, the Namikaze family left to go find their rooms, while the Tsukino family were left to sign in at the check-in desk. Later that day, we currently find Minato and Kushina in the shared bath, relaxing and enjoying the natural hot spring, the stress and worry that found its way into their muscles just washing away. Naruto and Asuna were currently washing each other before hopping in themselves. After that, they joined their parents-in-laws in the springs when the Tsukino family joined them. "Ah hello again you guys," Kenji said, finding the others in the springs. "Hello Kenji-san," Minato said. "So what brings you and your family here, if I may be so bold as to ask?" Minato-san, Kenji asked. "Well, we just wanted to escape the hustle and bustle of the city. We heard that these springs were supposed to be good, and I have to agree with that statement. How about yourselves?" Minato replied. "Oh well, myself and wife came up to reclaim a little bit of youth, you see this is where we first met, Dad, and we thought it would be good for the kids," Kenji replied. "Oh my, how romantic, and what a place to find true love," Tebing Kushina said, sighing joyfully. "Hey mom, how did you and Dad meet and fall in love?" I never got round to ask Naruto asked. Kushina blushed, her face matching the color of her hair. What an embarrassing thing to ask, Tebane Kushina said rubbing her neck sheepishly. Ah no, Naruto-kun, I've noticed that your mother has the same verbal tick as you, Usagi said. What verbal tick, Naruto asked feigning ignorance. He knew exactly what verbal tick, however he spent a lot of time controlling himself not utter the damn thing at the end of every sentence. She's right, Kibito, like Kushina says Tebane, you my beloved say Tebeo. Well, it's what makes the Uzumaki clan what it was, we weren't normal, we were kick-ass Tebeo, Naruto said pumping his fist. Damn straight Sachi-kun, Tebane Kushina said doing the same. Uzumaki clan? Kenji and Tsukino asked. Ah, well my wife here is from a clan that used to live in a remote area known as Uzushiogakure. However I'm afraid many decades ago the island was reclaimed by the sea, but the clan was keepers of a shrine to Susanoo the storm god. They were also great practitioners of sword techniques and sealing. However, as my wife and son explained, they were known for their eccentricities such as verbal tics and red hair. However, as you can see, my son got his hair from me, Minato explained. You know, I must say I have never seen someone wait that hair color, it is most unusual, and it's ironic I say that as my hair is blue, Ikuko said. Well, that's one of the reasons I fell in love with my husband. You see, I had just moved to this village we used to live in before moving to Tokyo, as my family had been previously roaming the world. When I started school, other kids would make fun of my hair, calling me names like Tomato. Kushina started. And what? Dad came in and stopped them, Naruto said impressed by his father's thoughtfulness. Actually, I took care of them myself, Kushina said tightening her fist. Cue the nervous shivers from the four males there. To be honest, when I first met your father, I thought he was flaky looking and girly, she said, gaining a hurt look from Minato, who mumbled something along the lines of wasn't flaky looking, earning a chuckle from his son and a giggle from Asuna. So then what was it that made you fall in love with him, Ikuko asked. Well, you see, when we were in high school and were becoming friends, I was kidnapped by a bunch of fanatics who believed in some of the old wives' tales about our clan. However, no one could do anything, except for Minato. You see, we were in an old village where cars weren't allowed, so they forced me to walk to wherever they were taking me. And we were close between the border of our village and another, so the police would have no jurisdiction. I resorted to cutting off bits of my hair as a trial. She started, she then took a pause to breath. I didn't see exactly happened, but when I finally realized what happened, Minato was in front of and caught me before I collapsed from exhaustion. He then carried me back to the village. I noticed he had strands of my hair and he told me, she continued. Your hair is beautiful, so I noticed it straight away, Minato said with his smile. That was the first time I noticed Minato as a strong man, and the red hair I used to hate so much I grew to love as it became my red string of fate that led me to the man I would love. Kushina finished with a dreamy look on her face. Oh my, that was very beautiful, so I guess you two must be high school sweethearts, Ikuko asked. Minato and Kushina just smiled and nodded. And Naruto and Asuna, what about you two? She asked the two teens. Well, we met when we were younger, we were both separated from our parents, and we were scared, but when we found each other we kept each other company until we could either find or be found by our parent, and we've been friends ever since. We fell in love only a year ago, after admitting our feelings to each other, and I proposed to her there a couple of weeks ago, Naruto said with a smile. And what about your parents, Asuna? Kenji asked. Everyone but himself, Ikuko and Shingo know the true story, however. Well, my parents died in a car crash when I was still young, and seeing as our families were close, Naruto's parents took me in, Asuna told them. This was her cover story, herself and Naruto came up with it if ever asked. And so the banter continued, and the Tsukino siblings horsed around until Shingo caught the view the springs had of the lake. Wow, what a view, he said standing on the rocks of the spring. Now why hot springs had no wall surrounding it like in other places I have no idea, but there you go. What are you looking at? Usagi said taking a look for herself. She took a look herself and found the view stunning as well. However, she was snapped out of her amazement when she spotted someone down by the shore. Gasped Mamoru. She gasped as she ran out of the bath, not noticing the worry on Naruto's face. Naruto looked towards his family who all nodded knowing what he was asking for. Naruto excused himself and followed after Usagi. He got dressed and shifted into his fox form and followed Usagi through the woods, sticking to the woods himself instead of the pathway Usagi took. When Usagi came across the lakeside statue of two lovers, she could find her beloved Mamoru anywhere. She was then caught. Her mother told her of the story of the man who fell in love with a water sprite. However, the man then fell in love with another woman, and the sprite became jealous and attacked the village. However, the man and women used their power and love for one another to seal the sprite in the bottom of the lake. Both a hidden Mamoru and Endymion and Naruto heard this tale. Both intrigued, however, for different reasons. Naruto wondered how they sealed the sprite in the bottom of the lake, and Endymion was thinking it would be a good idea to unleash the sprite, which he did as soon as Usagi and her mother left. However, it didn't go as planned, as the sprite would not take orders from him and then went and attacked Usagi, who was with her family. And Endymion went to go change into tuxedo mask, however he found himself rooted to the ground by chains. Hey, who did did this show yourselves, he demanded. Naruto walked out of the woods back in his human form. I told you not to continue playing with my sister's heart, Endymion. Now I think I will relinquish you from that witch's control, Ninpo. Kaiho Memori no Jutsu, he said, placing his hand on the man's head, and just in case I'll place a few seals to keep you from this kind of danger again. Jin, he added as he placed a few mind barrier seals on Mamoru, preventing Beryl from invading his head with her grimy claws. Of course, as this was happening, Mamoru was grunting in pain as his memories came back to him, even the ones of his past life. When it was over, he was trying to catch his breath. Naruto, Pan, thank you, I'm so glad you're here, he said in between pants. Mama, no probs Ed, what are friends for? Well, I mostly did this for Usagi, but you're still a friend, even if you are robbing my sister from me, he shrugged, and then glared as he mentioned the last part. Eder Endymion Mamoru shivered under the pressure of Naruto's glare, feeling the killer intent rolling off of him. Well, you see, that's his to mean, Mamoru stuttered. Forget it, we got more important things to do like taking care of a water sprite you unleashed, Naruto said, waving off his friend's uneasiness, then going all serious as he mentioned the last part. He quickly changed into his battle clothes as did Mamoru, and they sped off towards the resort where they heard the sounds of battle. When they arrived, they saw what can only be described as a thrashing. The water sprite had attempted to attack Usagi, only to be thwarted by Asuna, who was in her moon fox attire. Then Usagi had her family retreat back to the resort when she broke off from them to change into Sailor Moon, who joined the fray when Moonlight Warrior and Tuxedo Mask did. She was surprised to see her brother and beloved not trying to tear out each other's throats. While the two star-crossed lovers, Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask, were busy staring at each other, Moonlight Warrior and Tsukiko were beating the water sprite back and forth to each other like a game of tennis. However, the sprite got a second wind and pushed her attackers back, catching Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask off guard. Then the other senshi appeared to provide backup. It need not be said that the fight had then become completely unfair. The sprite got hit by combination attacks from Jupiter, Venus and Mercury, and then Moonlight Warrior hit the thing with a paralysis seal. 7. Sailor Moon, now Moonlight Warrior said. Gotcha, moon healing escalation, she said, activating the healing powers of her moon wand. After being hit by the healing mist projected from the wand, the sprite could feel the evil and jealous feelings and energy leaving her and transform her back to her original form. To be frank, she was gorgeous. My god, she's beautiful, Mina said as the sprite began to float up towards the sky. Finally able to pass on, she thanked the senshi, Tsukiko, Moonlight Warrior and Tuxedo Mask for helping her. When she passed on, the group were left to their own devices. However, they were not allowed to rest as Malachite suddenly showed up and tried to take Endymion back with him. I'm sorry, senshi, but Prince Endymion needs to come with me, he said as he began walking backwards towards a portal. However, he was stopped when a kunai was embedded into his shoulder. Not so fast, Malachite, he's not going anywhere but back with us, Moonlight Warrior said as he rushed the pair. As he planned, Malachite had let go of Tuxedo Mask as he grabbed his shoulder, pushing him aside. He then gave a kick to Malachite, pushing him back from whence he came. Curse you, Moonlight Warrior, I'll get you for this, came the whiny voice from Malachite. Yeah, go blow it out your ass, Malachite, Naruto said, flipping Malachite the bird. He then wiped his hands as if knocking dirt of them. Now that takes care of that, he said. He then was able to see the heartwarming reunion between his sister and his friend. Endymion, please tell me you remember Usagi Serenity. I remember, princess, everything, thanks to your brother Endymion, now dressed in his battle armor, replied, tears in his eyes. Oh, Endymion, Serenity said as she transformed into her princess form, embracing her beloved. Oh, Naru-kun, look at you, Mr. Relationship Fixer, Asuna said, taking his arm and snuggling it in her bosom while leaning her head on his shoulder. Just another day at the office, but hey, I'm awesome like that to Bayo, Naruto said. Damn it. Hey, you said it again, beloved, Asuna giggled. Yeah, oh Ed, by the way, Naruto said. Endymion looked towards Naruto when he was called hurt my sister ever again, he said as his face turned feral for a second, sending a pleasurable shiver down her spine. And the crows will find it hard to find scraps of you left his face, then returned to normal, and he smiled a sweet smile. Okay. Well, poor Endymion was shivering, which was evident by the jingling of the chainmail. Why yeah, I got it, he stuttered. But now let's get back to the resort before our parents begin to search for us, Naruto said as he and Asuna started heading back. Later on, after being grilled by Kenji, Mamoru was invited to join everyone on the holiday, and he got his own room, as well as the girls joining as well at the insistence of Ikuko and Kushina, which is why we find the evil fighting teens in the hot spring. Wow, to think that jealousy can cause something like that to happen, Ami said, remembering the sprite. Well, Ami, feelings like jealousy can cause spirits and people to change dramatically, take onrum they never pass on due to unfulfilled desires such as love or vengeance, and become onrum because of unfinished business. Naruto said, leaning against the rock. Asuna leaning against him, her head on his right shoulder. Naruto rested his head on Asuna, the girls too busy chatting away to notice. Eyes, if ever become that jealous you stop me, right, Usagi asked. Of course, Usagi, that's what friends are for, Ami said. Yeah, although I think you should take another dip in the springs to cleanse yourself, as the girls proceeded to dunk her into the springs. Naruto looked on with a smile, as did Asuna and Mamoru, although they knew the battle soon to come with Beryl and her goons. And what if Naruto neglected by family Sailor Moon? Thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.